purr.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Wait a minute. I know you.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
I know that, dude.
He's a modern-day Yoda.
I'm your hug bearer.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Greetings and salutations.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
That boy is good. Good and terrible.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say.
This is the Mike Rutherford Show on the Big X.
Sportos and motorheads, geek bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Welcome to the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133.
All right. Welcome everybody. It's Tuesday, January 27th. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, coming to you live from the world-famous University of Louisville College of Business Studios here in the heart of thawing out but still dead inside Louisville, Kentucky. Cards fans, you can incubate your inner entrepreneur with U of L's top-ranked Innovation MBA. In 12 months, gain the confidence and the connections needed to spark your entrepreneurial spirit. Learn best practices from U of L's award-winning faculty, serial entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, and national business leaders. Also compete for thousands of dollars in startup funding and business plan competitions. You can start your journey today. The first step is visiting business.louisville.edu. We're on the air today from 2:32 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM, streaming across the land, including on the Big X Sports Radio YouTube channel, airing live on WBNA Channel 21. You know us better as the Big X. Roman Kelly is in the house producing the hell out of the show. Give him a follow on Twitter at Romy Bean.
Thank you.
I'm here as well, in the pilot's chair. I'm upset about a lot of things today. This is, maybe we'll get like a classic, like, ooh, something will make me laugh, something will make me giggle. I'm having a rough day, Roman. You don't like the football schedule, Mike? I love the football schedule. I would love to spend 3 hours on the football schedule. But it's still freezing outside.
Yeah.
We called 3 different people to try and plow our driveway the last couple of days. Got on a list, realized pretty early on today that, like, it's not going to get done. If I don't do this myself, I'm not going to be able to do the radio show. We've got kids out of school. Virginia's got kindergarten homework for NTI days, which is ridiculous. Our furnace goes out today again. So I've done zero work.
That's rough.
I've done zero work whatsoever. I'm going back and forth between shoveling the driveway, which we have a absurdly long driveway, which is great. Not a big deal in other circumstances, but this is the one time where it's like, this sucks. Doing that, then going back inside, going down to the basement, getting the furnace working. I can get it started, but there's clearly an issue with, I think, the pressure switch, and it's just, it'll cycle up until it reaches the temperature it's supposed to, and then it won't start again, and then I've got to take like 5. It's been a whole thing. So I spent the last 3 hours basically digging ourselves out of the driveway so I can come in here and spend 3 hours talking about a 31-point loss to Duke. I mean, if we had a show yesterday, which the whole building was closed, we didn't get to come in here. Props to everybody who did make it in today. I walk in, Chuck's right there, front office, just ready to go, looking great. If we'd come in here yesterday, we would have had like an unbridled enthusiasm show. It'd have been great. We talk about the Virginia Tech win. Mike Hill's back. He looks like a top 5 pick. Oh my goodness, big game against Duke tonight. Would have been a fantastic 3 hours. Today is the day where we needed a snow day, because I've got some things that I need to get off my chest. I know you guys have things that you need to get off your chest, but I don't really want to do it right now. I don't want to spend 3 hours talking about, like, this team may just not be that good.
I didn't even rewatch it this morning.
I mean, I had to. We got down by 19 in the second half. Mary she's getting the kids down for bed. And she all of a sudden like gets like this weird, like just overwhelming like stomach. Like she's like, I'm seeing spots. And I was like, we're down by 19. Don't worry about it. Like, I'll get the kids down. And so I think she was okay after like 5-10 minutes. But like I was looking for an excuse to not have to watch the second half at a certain point, which I never do. Never do. And then, there's that part of you that you put the phone down, I paused the game, went back, read to the kids, Mary came back there like 8-9 minutes later.
Thinking maybe they made it come back.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to look at the phone. Let's see. Like, ooh. And then like we're down by 28 when I get back to live. It was just, it was terrible. We'll talk about it today. You will talk about it today. I know a lot of you already are doing that on the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. We'll talk about the football schedule a little bit, but the bulk of today's conversation will obviously center around the lack of fight, to use the word that Pat Kelsey used, which made all of us cringe last night, from the Louisville men's basketball team, and yet another embarrassing loss against a quality opponent. This time it's Duke beating us for a 9th straight time and a 4th straight time by double figures. It's lots of things to say. Before we say any of it, though, we say hi to our guy, Roman Kelly. Roman, how are you doing, not sports-wise, with the cold, with everything? How have you been the last couple of days? I haven't talked to you.
Yeah, we didn't. I meant to text you. I forgot, but
you always do.
I'm doing all right for the most part. It was cold. You couldn't do a whole lot this weekend. I get to see some family. Uncle in town, so we did watched the game with my entire family last night, probably for the first time since I've started the whole sports media thing, which was an interesting endeavor. They're all like asking questions and watching, and it's not good. And I've been like a positive person when talking about all these things, so they're seeing me quote unquote work in live time, and it's super negative and completely changed my mood.
Don't you love that though? Like,
as soon as dinner's over, it's like, I'm all right, we got to get out of here.
We're down by 26, and people are like, "You're the expert. Look, what are you seeing?" It's like, well, it's bad. They're making a lot more shots than we are. This is not good.
What's going on? Why can't they get a rebound?
Which is my favorite question. Like, what's the deal here? Like, my wife still does that to me that day. She's like, did we just play bad? I'm like, yeah, we lost by 31. What do you want me to say? They were really good. We are not that great. Like, that's my expert opinion. I've spent 20 years working in this field to be able to tell you that. That's where we are. But I'm glad you got to watch the game with family.
Yeah, getting to spend some time with family in town, that's always nice. I actually had a pretty pleasant time with the snow situation we had because I was able to get my car. I kept it in a good spot. I was able to get it out quickly as soon as the snow started, moved it, kept it moving, kept the spaces that I was parking in kind of not all getting piled up with the same amount of snow. And then we had a little bit of fun on Saturday driving around in the snow, reading some books, audiobooks, doing all that. Lakers 4-1 on their road trip right now. That's nice. I know that's sports related, but got some Real Spiel podcast things in the works and started up. Got Trevor back on the airwaves as well, which was always nice and fun. Got to do pregame and postgame.
Watch you guys a little bit.
Yeah, shout out to Mike giving us the retweet for the Real Spiel live show. You always do that, but it's still nice to get those extra viewers in because we shifted that over to the Real Spiel account instead of my page. So,
which I didn't know Trevor had been sick. Like
I didn't.
He's been texting me like I just never let me know that anything was up. I was like, "Do you gotta let me know?"
You knew.
I had no idea.
Ask you about it last week. I didn't want to get into it on the radio, obviously, because I didn't know the intensity of it yet, or if he had concluded on what was happening. So he did have some health stuff going on, but he finally got out of the hospital. He lost 90 pounds.
He told me 80, so he's maybe shortchanging himself.
Probably like adding by the day with the way he's having to eat.
I just love. I flip on.
Got him on a full broccoli diet. He said. So.
I flip on the stream, and it's Trevor talking about how bad his last few Januaries have been. He's like, well, I had the one a couple years ago where I had a little excursion. Like, you're welcome for the job, Roman. There you go. And then he just casually drops that he's been in the hospital for the last couple. I was like, wait. I was like, you got to tell me these things, Trev. So I talked to him about that last night. But it was nice hearing you guys. It made me feel a little bit better about everything going on. But it's been a rough go. I forgot to mention, too, like, I have one of those blowers. Like
the snow blowers or just
it's a
leaf blower?
Like a standard blower, but you can switch the the setting to like warm air, so you're supposed to be able to use it in the winter. And I've only used it a handful of times since I got it for my birthday. I'm old. This is what you get for old people for their birthdays. So I used it like during the fall and use it to like kind of blow off our sidewalks and our back deck for parties and stuff. So it finally needed a charge for the first time. It's supposed to have this rechargeable lithium battery. Battery just doesn't work. Battery just won't charge. And I go, and apparently it's a consistent problem with this specific brand, and there are all these quick fixes, one of which is just dropping it onto a hard floor. People are like, you won't believe this. It actually works. None of it worked for me. I've never charged this battery. Nothing works anymore. Like people don't make things that work anymore. It's all a cash grab. It's a cash grab, Roman. Everything's a cash grab. Nothing works anymore. I was just flipping out the entire morning. I've had a bad day. It's just not fun. I can already, like, my back feels okay right now. I can tell that when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm going to feel like I just deadlift like 50 times my weight if I could. It's just, it's being old sucks, and then having to deal with stuff like this when you're old really sucks. And then having to watch your favorite basketball team get their ass handed to them for 2 hours on Big Monday, and now having to wait 5 more days till they play again. That also sucks. It's just bad. Just any way you slice it.
Got to do your driveway shoveling stretches, Mike.
Well, I did. Like, that was the worst part. Was like
you stretched before and you're still hurting.
Oh no, I thought you meant like shovel it a couple times before like the big snow.
No, I'm saying you got to stretch before.
I don't stretch. Fast, hard jerking motions. That's how you do things at my age. Make of that what you will. I lay down ice melt when it first started snowing. Got that first layer off, but then you had the overnight where it snowed like 5 inches, and then at that point it's like, oh, you can't do anything about that. It was just a poor approach. It's partially on me. It's not 100% on me. It's partially on me. I guess let's get into it. We're just delaying the inevitable, which is having to talk about this god-awful game last night. Louisville goes to Durham. Same-day travel. That's not ideal. It certainly does not justify the performance they ended up giving.
Sure it does. That's why we lost.
Wouldn't it be great to just be able to say it? How mad would people get if we just came in here and just said that?
So listen, you can't. It's too cold to be traveling in one day and
playing
a
throwaway game. It doesn't even count. They travel the same day. It's cold outside. You guys will see. We're gonna be fine.
Can't practice the same when it's this cold.
we're just as good as Duke. Come on. Nothing is messed up here, guys. People would just be furious.
They'd hate us.
Louisville goes on the road, and for what feels like 70th consecutive time against a quality opponent away from home, gets not just defeated but roundly defeated. 83-52 is the final score. I kind of like the fact that we were down at halftime. I was like, let's switch it up. We've been up big on these guys the last 3 games, and we've lost by 11 points. We got dominated just as badly as we did as we have in the second half in all 3 of the last games against these guys. We just didn't have like a 9-point cushion to make the final score a little bit better than it was. We still got our ass kicked in the second half by 20 points. We just were already down by 10, and the result of that is a 31-point loss. I know that's bad math, but 83-52 the final score. Obviously, there are lots of things to discuss here. Roman, I know you talked a little bit about this on Running with Roman, but I do want to give you first swing. We don't need to spend time talking about, hey, 31-point losses are bad. We know this. Just how bad is this, though, when we're talking about the biggest of all pictures, which is the overall direction of this program, and what does last night mean for what our expectation level should be for the last month and a half of this season?
For me, there's a layered answer here, because
sure.
I'm going to take the perspective of what it means for Louisville basketball and the eye point of everybody else within college basketball right now, and that's we've shifted from a standpoint, I think, where people were asking, can Pat Kelsey get this done? He's been up at halftime on these teams. He's played good halves of basketball against some of these teams. We're still not sure, right? We think he can. He's shown he almost can. He's shown he's gotten close. He's beaten semi-good teams, but he hasn't been able to get across the hump with these great teams. That now pretty much loses. There's no confusion there with a lot of people, both within the fan base and outside of it, and how they look at us now. A lot of people went from, I don't think he can, I'm not sure if he can, to I really don't believe he's going to, which is still like possible, still subject to change. That, for the eye point, I think, of a lot of people looking at Louisville and how we stack up against other teams in college basketball. You push that narrative even deeper there with that. Now, when you look at how the game actually went and how it unfolded for our players out on the floor, this is even more proof that we don't have the guts when we get smacked in the face. No one on the floor does for us. Nobody. Not even Michael Brown. Not even Ryan Conwell. It sucks to go through these kinds of games without a Kenai Roos, and I don't think Kenai Roos would have made a big difference in the 52 points that we scored, but maybe that 8-0 run that they go on to close out the half or whatever it was. There's some moments that I think it would have been really nice to have him on the floor. Ultimately, it wouldn't have been a big enough factor to prevent us from getting worked in the second half. Nobody on the floor plays with a demeanor like they can go out there and beat these guys. And when they have a moment where it feels like we're not on that path, right, because it's 16-22 for, 7 minutes? You don't score for 7-something minutes and you only allow 4 points in that time. That's a team that can run with Duke. That's a team that can play with Duke. That just needed to figure out some better stuff on the offensive side with their shot selection. You played hard there. You didn't let yourself get killed on the glass. And then as soon as you see a couple of offensive rebounds go their way and a couple buckets go from there, everything's lost. Everybody's ability to take a moment to understand what's happening seems to leave. And then Pat Kelsey, on top of that, doesn't have the ability to get all of these guys back on the same page when these moments start happening. Why? I'm not quite sure. I don't really know the answer to that yet.
Yeah.
It's partially to do with the play style. You can't be a team that's going to pride itself on shooting a bunch of threes when you also can't do the little stuff on the basketball court well. You have to take care of the basketball. You've got to box out. You've got to fight on the 50-50 balls. I hate to say the word there, but at least in those moments on the long rebounds, on the loose ball stuff, you've got to want it more as a team that's a little bit smaller, trying to play to the advantage of their agility and their speed. You've got to play with size within that still, and we don't do that. And when we get down 10 points, we don't think it's possible for us to do that. And it's sad. It's sad to watch because I think Pat Kelsey's a great coach. I think he has a lot to bring to Louisville basketball, but the expectation, he's not going to meet the expectation before he gets the chance to show it at this rate. And that's where he's now kind of losing the specific Louisville fan base as well. And that's the third factor to this. Chris Mack beat Duke in Duke. You know, that's something. While we know these 2 years, the expectation for what the Duke team's been for what we've been is not, there's a gap there. It's last year was a lot bigger than this, right? We've got a lottery pick as well. We've got players that have played high-level college basketball as well. We shouldn't be looking like that against these kinds of teams, and we do consistently now. And another unfortunate aspect about this going forward, at least with this season specifically, Mike, is that he doesn't have the chance to prove it again for quite some time. And he doesn't have the ability to slip up of any of these games he should be winning going forward, which I think should be all of them pretty much. I don't expect him to win all of them, but Louisville is capable of beating every team we've seen, or that we've got left based on what we've seen this season.
Sure.
Now you're just hoping for the best, right? And that's not what the expectation was supposed to be for this season. So the people who are on the fence about Pat Kelsey with what he's shown against these top 25-esque opponents, those teams that are projected to be teams that can make a run in March, you're losing a lot of confidence in your fan base. You've probably lost some confidence in your players because they don't seem to have that, to quote you, Pat, fight when they get down 10, 11, 12 points. I don't know what we're headed to now towards, Mike.
It's become a valid criticism, right? There was a lot of talk last year. This team, they looked great against the teams that they should beat. They didn't step up against the teams that were the best on their schedule, and then you see a little bit of that early on this season. We now have a growing sample size, and the people that want to say, Pat, the nicknames are out there. Primetime Pat Kelsey. Who's it? I keep hearing Patterfield. Which just eats me to the core. I'm not willing to go there, but people are, they're saying it. He can't step up and make this team even competitive when they play the best teams in the rest of the country. And look, Louisville was supposed to be one of those types of teams this season, and to me, that's the most discouraging thing because. Last night it's a loss to one of the best teams in the country on their home floor. That is what it is. But when you lose in the manner in which you lost, it reinforces this notion that not only are you not a great team, you're not really close to being a great team. And that's the saddest thing. I think that's the toughest thing for me to wrap my mind around. We've obviously had our ups and downs already this season, but there was this hope that when you got back to full strength, and I know we didn't have Kanai, but Kanai's not worth 33 points in a game like that. But when you get back to full strength, this should be a team that maybe they can't play with everybody in college basketball, but they're close enough to the top tier that on a given night they could step up and knock off the Dukes, the Michigans, the Arizonas of the world. And the reality is, have we seen anything from this group that leads you to believe that we're capable of knocking off those types of teams? No. I'll answer the question for you.
No.
And it's not just that we're not on that level. It's that the gap between us and that level is so wide that I think everybody is kind of realizing that it's probably too large to be made up in a month and a half, which is when we're going to get to postseason play. And that's that's super discouraging. I think now we're resetting our expectations and saying, like you said, you've got 11 games left. Now, 6 of the 11 games are quad one opportunities. So you're not playing terrible teams. You got a handful of top 25 opponents in there, but you're not playing anybody like Duke. So we're all kind of resetting our expectations and saying, let's at least go through these last 6 weeks of the regular season, prove that we're good. You can't prove that you're great over the stretch, but you can prove that you're good, and then get yourself in a situation where maybe you're like a 5, 6 seed, 7 seed, somewhere along those lines. And then if you're fortunate enough, you'll get another shot against an elite opponent, maybe Duke in the ACC tournament or maybe somebody in the second round of the NCAA tournament, and you take your best shot. The biggest problem when it comes to we'll take our shot, we keep saying with regards to this team, well, they can beat anybody on any given night because look at their shooters. We've not seen that at any point. I thought Chris Hadfield, the best wager, he summed it up better than I could have last night when he was talking about, it's not one thing with this team. There are a myriad of issues with this team, and I'm sure they're all going to be covered on the text line today. But the biggest thing to me is we assembled this roster knowing that there were holes. We talked about it on the show. We don't have a big bruising power forward. We elected to bring Kason Pryor back. We elected to bring in Sananda Frew. We knew Ali Khalifa was going to be there, and that wasn't really his game. But we knew that we didn't have elite defenders all across the board on this roster. But we thought we banked on our strengths being able to outweigh our deficiencies. And our strength was being presumably the most explosive offensive team in college basketball. Yeah, we're going to give up some points. Yeah, we're going to get exposed inside a little bit, but we'll make up for it because we can just light it up from the outside. There's no team on earth that can guard us. And if we got to go out there and win games 98-94, we'll be able to win games 98-94. When has this team showed any sort of explosion against anybody of note? It's not just that they're losing to the Dukes and the Tennessees and the Arkansas of the world, but we keep thinking that this team is capable of going on these oh my God, they were down by 7 and now they're up by 20. Kind of what Duke has done to us in both games. When have we ever gone on those types of runs? This was supposed to be a team where even if you were down by 18, you felt like you had a chance. You felt like you could do what BYU did last night. I mean, I watched BYU Arizona last night, and BYU goes out there. They're supposed to be playing the same style of play that we are. They've got a freshman superstar just like we do. They're playing one of the best teams in the country just like we were last night. They get down by 20 to Arizona. They end up down by 1, closing seconds with the ball and a chance to win that game. We've never made a run like that against those types of teams. When we get down by 15, 16 points, the game's over. When we got down, that first segment of the second half last night, when we came out down by 10 and then at the first whistle, we're down by 16, at that point, the game's done. I never feel like this team is capable of going on one of those types of runs, and that was supposed to be our superpower, our super strength. So, we can talk about whether it's the roster construction or the style of play or the lack of having, there's no pivot for this team when they're not playing tremendous offensive ball, and they haven't been playing tremendous offensive ball against anybody with a pulse. We know we can't win games against teams like Duke with defense, and so what do you do besides go out there and get your ass kicked? And I said it last night. Nobody was expecting. I know it's year 2 of Pat Kelsey, and we talk about resetting expectations, and the standard is the standard, and all that stuff here. I still think that there was nobody in the U of L fan base that was saying, "All right, we've got all these big time teams on the schedule. Let's go out there. You got to win every single game. You got to win all these games." Nobody had that expectation. I think we had the expectation that you needed to win some of them. And there was certainly an expectation that you couldn't get your ass kicked in absolutely all of them. That's what we're doing. It's not just that we're losing. We're getting our asses handed to us by anybody who's good. I mean, we talk about Tennessee and Arkansas. Those are good, not great teams too. Tennessee's 20th on KenPom. Arkansas is 22nd. Those are fine teams. They shouldn't be beating you by 21 points. They shouldn't be controlling things from start to finish against you. Virginia's a fine team. They shouldn't be coming into your building doing kind of whatever they want to against you on offense, getting every look that they want, controlling the action, leading by double figures for most of the game, and ending up beating you by 9 in front of your home fans. Like, none of these things should be happening in year 2. And the sad part is I don't think there's a fix. I think this team can improve. I think they can get better. But it feels like best case scenario now is they go out there, they finish the regular season 8-3, 9-2, something like that, try to win a couple games in the conference tournament, and then you hope for a good draw. Maybe some luck. Maybe you beat a team that you're better than in the first round, and the team that you were supposed to play in the second round gets upset, and you make a run to the Sweet 16. You have an Arkansas-type saving tournament that makes everybody feel a little bit warm and fuzzy going into next year. But right now, man, it's hard to see the type of ending that we all were imagining back in October and November. And it's tough to digest at this point. We'll take a break. More thoughts from last night's game coming up after the break. We'll also turn to you guys in the Game Day Men's Health text line. Back after this, Rutherford Show, Big X.
In May, but I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top.
You already know that Gary Coleman is the man to call for all your
It's fun depression. That's good old-fashioned, just upbeat depression. It's the 3 o'clock hour of the mic. That's what we're going for today. Upbeat depression. 502-414-1450 is the Gameday Mens Health text line. I don't think there's going to be anything upbeat on the text line today, but who knows? Maybe we'll be surprised. We are reacting to Louisville's 83-52 loss to Duke last night. We talked kind of in broader terms in the last segment. We can dive into some of the minutia from the game in this segment. Let me start with this, and I'll pose the question to Roman. Michael Brown last night, obviously very, very tough night. 1 of 13 from the field. It was the lowest shooting percentage for a player at Louisville that's taken at least 12 shots in a game since all the way back in 2000. We had this great, heroic performance that he gave on Saturday against Virginia Tech. Last night against Duke, can't get anything going. It felt like he could get to the basket fairly easily. He wasn't making plays at the basket. He got fouled a couple of times, which was nice. The shot selection was just atrocious. Never really got into a flow last night. What do we make of Michael playing the way that he did last night? I know it's just his second game back, but still. I mean, I felt like it wasn't terrible up until they got to, like, what, 28-22 or 28-16 or whatever it was. That's when the shot selection started wavering. The drives to the rim became less. I mean, I can't say that he has to get his feet back under him. He looked great against Virginia Tech. He did everything he does well against Virginia Tech. Once we get down, he thinks he's got to fix it himself. And the shot selection waivers, when we're not turning those long transition rebounds or getting those long rebounds and those loose balls into transition moments for us, Michael doesn't have much to succeed. If we're being forced to play in the half court on defense and being forced to play in the half court on offense, and we're at a double-digit deficit, he's not any more important out there than anybody else, which shouldn't be the case. But that's, a point guard can only do so much. I don't like the threes when we get down. If we're down bad, make it your point to get to the rim every single time you can as the only player on the floor that has that level of an ability to do so. Ryan Conwell's limited to that if there's a certain defender on him. There's a certain defender out there. Sarr, he's a little bit slower than you, right? Foster, he's not as tall as you. There's not a matchup out there that Michael can't take advantage of, and he settles. I don't like it. I just understand. What I'm saying is when we get down 20 points, I understand it. I thought the first 8 minutes of the game, he played pretty good. Outside, I think he had one early turnover. Was getting to the lane, was kicking the ball out, was trying to play with a little bit more pace that we needed to be playing with. Missed a couple of threes. They get a couple of offensive buckets, and then it's all downhill from there. I mean, I think it's relatively simple. When you're playing, we brought Michael in here to be a superstar. And you look across the country, freshman superstars are kind of running the sport at this point. If you're playing a team like Duke, who's got obviously their own freshman superstar who's going to win every National Player of the Year award, but also another roster loaded with super talented college players and also guys that are other guys that are going to be in the NBA in short order, your star has to be a star. And
can't be missing free throws early in a game.
Can't be missing free throws. He also can't be going 1 of 13 from the field.
No.
And I'm not saying if he had played a good game that we would have won. We certainly don't lose by 31, though. You've got no shot against anybody who's a Tier 1, Tier 2 type opponent when a player of Michael Brown's caliber is going out there and going 1 of 13 from the field. And this is where I think not having him for the last month or really, we know how much it's affected the rest of the team, but this is where I think not playing for the last month really affects Michael. He was taking those terrible shots the first month of the year. We saw that, and we kind of were like, all right, he'll work his way through that. He's a classic freshman. He's taking, OTE, AAU type shots. He'll get that out of his system. He'll figure out the difference between a good shot and a bad shot, especially in this system, and he'll be better for it. Then he takes a month off. He was taking the same types of shots that you would expect a kid coming out of high school who's never really had he's always had the green light. You expect those types of shots in mid-November.
He took one against Virginia, and it was not The actual shot attempt itself wasn't bad. The moment wasn't good. It was too early in the shot clock. Not a single pass from the possession. You felt you hand down, man down, and he was inside the perimeter, so you put it up. That compared to the tween sidestep, okay, it's a better look than that. Still a bad shot ultimately overall for what you have done from 3 this season. And he hand up, patted his chest, looked over to the bench, and we didn't see another three-point attempt like that for the rest of the game.
Who, Michael?
Yeah, against Virginia Tech.
Oh, against Virginia Tech, yes.
And then that's
exactly.
that mindset's completely gone against Duke.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I thought it was a great moment in that game against VT. He took that bad shot.
Because he got the offensive rebound.
Yeah, and he knew right away. He was like, that's on me. My bad.
Kicked it out to Ryan Conwell. We still got 3 points from
He took 6 of those shots last night.
Yeah.
Without hesitation. And like a lot of them came at a time where we were right in the game. That was the craziest part to me was we played awful defense in the first segment. Isaac McNeely, I don't know what he was doing. Just completely lost, going under screens against Slim Evans. What is that? Ball watching a little bit. They yanked him pretty quickly. From that point forward, we played pretty good defense in the first half. Duke goes on this huge drought, and it was like we took that as justification to play the worst offense we've played in a long. Like the ball just stopped moving. We had guys just like taking awful contested outside shots early in possessions, and Michael was the worst defender. I know his dad put it together that clip like a month and a half ago where he was like showing all the quote unquote bad shots. He's like, these aren't bad shots. These are NBA type shots. He's going to start making them. They are bad shots. Like I don't care what he says. We've seen him now. I know he missed a month, but he's played 13 games. He doesn't make those shots at a high enough clip to justify taking 3 or 4 a game.
Yep. He took 3 of those in the first half.
And he's a really good shooter when he has time and space and he can step into a shot. When he's fading away and there's a guy draped all over him, he's like a 12% shooter on those shots. Like he hasn't made them. And they completely get us out of the flow. You're not getting other people involved. You can sense like the overall kind of demeanor of the team drop a little bit when he takes them. Like he's got to stop doing that if we're going to be even a remotely relevant team come March. Like you've got to get that out of your system. I would have hoped it would have been out by now, even with the time off. But last night it plagued us throughout the first half. Like you said, you can kind of be like, okay, when you're down 20, you got to do what you got to do to try to get back in the game. But he was doing it like we're up by 1 or we're down by 2 first half. And it was just like, no, you cannot. Like, we've got something here. Get to the basket. Plus, he was whooping whoever was guarding him right off the bounce. He wasn't finishing, but that's the perfect way to either set up something for somebody else, get their big men in foul trouble. Like, keep going to the basket.
Caleb Foster can't guard you.
He couldn't. Nobody that they put on him could guard him. And it was like he just didn't care. And also, I mean, it's not totally on him. You got to have a head coach step up at some point and say, like, cut that bleep out. Go north and south. Get downhill. Tilt the court. Get to the basket. That's our best chance of winning this game. And that never happened. And by the time, it was too late. But by the time you would have
at this level of college basketball, too, the amount of guards I see, like top of the key towards the right elbow a little bit, towards the right wing. They go left-hand dribble towards the paint, towards the free throw line. They just put their body right into the defender, and it's a foul.
Yeah.
Like Darius Acuff, he doesn't even look to get by his man. He looks to get into his man. Bit of a shimmy with his body after the contact, and it's a foul every time. I'm not saying go out there and foul bait. I am. Do something differently, Michael.
We have a dramatic deficiency in the post, and I know everybody wants to talk about that. One of the best ways to help out is get the opposing big man in foul trouble. We got Mbonga in foul trouble the first game, and he barely played, only ended up playing 10 minutes. That's the thing. It's not just about generating offense, generating points. It's about getting some of the best opposing players into foul trouble. There's no excuse with Michael being as good as he is off the bounce to not get to the free throw line 8, 9, 10 times a game. Like, that should be the minimum. And if you have a game where you go out there and you knock down 3 or 4 outside shots as well, cool. At this point, I'm fine with saying option 1 for Michael should always be tilting the floor. Always. Option 1 for like Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely, it's the 3-point shot. It shouldn't be that way for Michael. He is an elite on-ball creator.
And when they start defending you correctly to prevent it, Everybody has open looks from your passing ability and with what you can do in the air.
He's shooting 27% from three, man. Like, at a certain point, and like I said, he's a good shooter.
His best threes come from relocations. When he drives, he kicks, he continues to run. Ali Khalifa screens for him. The ball gets swung back around him to the wing, and he gets to put up a look.
Because he's open.
Because he got the defense moving with his initial drive to the rim. And now everybody's rotating in that possession from there. It's just a matter of who wants to take the great shot.
The fact of the matter is, you got to call it like it is. This kid's our only chance of being a team that can make a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
And I feel like that's why we're putting such an emphasis on what happened last night. I'm more upset with what I saw from Sinan Defru than Michael Brown last night.
Defru was bad. There's no, but like, we kind of know.
You're a grown man. No, we know you can't finish at the rim with the best of them, maybe. We know you're not the best dribbler. You're a grown man who should not be able to give up an inch to anybody in this league.
But like, how many times does he have to do it for us to to stop being disappointed by it? Like, we know exactly who he is. We know exactly what Khalifa can do.
That's a mental thing, Mike. That's like
is it
a little bit.
He hasn't banged with
you're
anybody.
230. I think it is, but in return, I think it goes back to Pat Kelsey and their ability to kind of evaluate talent. There's certain things that you guys didn't pinpoint accurately enough, engaging certain players and what they were going to be able to do for you because they're not giving you that.
I mean, I just.
Javon Halley's the only one that looked like he was playing with some heart last night.
He always does. He's always there. He's Mr. Reliable. He's Mr. Solid. The stuff about people when the outside shots aren't falling against good teams, everybody's like, "Well, just throw it in the paint. Throw it in the paint. We got to get Fru more touches." Every time he gets a good touch down low against a good team, he gets his ish thrown into the crowd. Like, we don't score when we throw the ball into the boat. We get our shot blocked more than just about anybody in college basketball against good teams. Like we kind of knew that this was going to be a thing coming into the season. And again, it points back to this whole, we knew this was going to be a weakness to some degree. We thought that our strengths would be enough to overwhelm it. And right now our strengths aren't remotely close to being able to overwhelm the deficiency that we have.
You got to be able to score your 88 points a game on Duke as well. Yeah,
I mean, that was the one of the reasons why I had hope at halftime is, we're down 38-28. And I'm like, we scored 20, that second half was so terrible last go around. We scored 26 points. It's almost the same offensive output as we have right now. Every piece of data says we're going to have a much better offensive second half. If we can lock down defensively, go on a big run. And it didn't happen. We couldn't score on those guys.
And we started allowing the offensive rebounds to pour in early in that second half as well. Which I don't understand, like the first 12 minutes of the game, you're even. Yeah. And then you get blasted on the glass? What happened? I get there's a little bit of foul trouble. Ali Khalifa, Sinan Defru, they're not the foul trouble that we were experiencing wasn't enough to keep these players off the floor that detrimentally in the first half. I don't understand why we just completely stopped acknowledging getting defensive rebounds.
I keep screaming it into a void. This team, even when they have good stretches of offense, they almost always get counteracted by terrible stretches of defense. At some point, this team's going to have to realize that any big run they're going to make starts with defense. And it's like everyone's looking to run out. I mean, how many
defensive rebounds?
We can't rebound. There were so many times where we had one guy under the basket going to rebound and four guys leaking out to try and start the break the other way.
The one where we got a hand on the ball before each and every of the three offensive rebounds that led to the corner three.
That was the worst.
That's when I knew.
That was the possession where I was like, I don't know if I can watch.
I wanted to, because they went up 21, I believe, with that three.
We're letting Kamenia look like he's, prime Cooper Flag out there. Yeah. And then Woolley throws it right to him for a dunk. It was just, it was atrocious. And I think now, again, what comes hand in hand with us having to sort of reassess our overall expectations for this team? We keep waiting for this moment. And I guess that there's still, if you want to have faith that this can be a team capable of making a run to the Elite Eight or getting lucky and making a Final Four, I guess you can hold on to it. It's getting increasingly tougher when you look at the lack of output that our guys are giving. And I'm talking about guys that have played college basketball now for 4 or 5 seasons. And
we're saying this about offensively, too, with a Pat Kelsey-led team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at some of the roster, and you're just saying that guy was a miseval. Like, I hate to do this, single out like individual players, but kind of the time has come for it. Like, Isaac McNeely's not as good as I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be an upgrade to Rain Smith. I thought even if he shoots it a little bit worse from 3, he's bigger. He's more naturally gifted. He'll be able to make more plays off the bounce. He'll be a little bit better defensively. I don't think he's any better defensively.
Rain Smith's a straight-up better defender.
I agree.
A lot more of a pass, puts up more of an effort off the ball as well, guarding guys that are bigger than him.
He was also better inside the arc. Every time Isaac tries to do something off the bounce when he gets a guy in the air, going to the back, like it never goes right. I talked about the terrible pass that he threw off the backboard on the podcast yesterday. He threw a worse pass at the beginning. He tried to like golf ball roll a pass inside. I was like, it's not going to work against Duke. Like they had 7 seconds to pick off that pass.
He forgets he's playing in like a super fast-paced offense at times. He just completely doesn't realize that's what it is.
Maybe that's it, or maybe he was never a fit in this type of offense to begin with, because it's. And
if that's the case, make him. He should only be asked to be doing his best attribute, in my opinion. If he can't defend at an average level, he can't do anything outside of shooting the 3 offensively at an above-average level. Get him off the floor. Let him come in and shoot 3s against second units.
That's kind of it's where we're trying. I mean, he's shooting a career worst from 3-point. He's averaging the fewest amount of points that he has since his freshman season at Virginia. He's, the assist numbers are way down from where they've been the last couple of years. He's just not giving you what you thought he'd give you this season, and that's disappointing. And then I love this guy, but I feel like Adrian Woolley hasn't come along quite as much as I was hoping he was.
Which was weird because he made such a
jump. It seemed like he was right there.
A handful of games that Michael was out, those first initial ones. I mean, I know he lost to Tennessee, but that first half, I thought he had a good first half in that game. He's had some great moments when Michael was out, and
it seems like he's still trying to – because we asked him to do so many different things when Michael was out. It seems like he's still just like he's not sure what his role is.
Going back to the bench has impacted him.
Yeah,
definitely.
He wasn't very good last night. I still think he probably needs to be eating more of McNeely's minutes just because he can give you more defensively. And if Isaac's not going to make up for his deficiencies by making 4 or 5 threes a game, what's the point of having him out there?
There was a movement last night in the game where Adrian Woolley tries to drive left. The help comes, but he's already in the paint, and he keeps his dribble alive as he backs out into the perimeter and then finds the open man. Isaac McNeely can't even really do that.
No, he can't. There's no way around it. Frew has been great at times against lesser opponents. He's disappeared for the most part against big-time opponents. Khalifa, I mean, we knew what Ollie was going into the season, so you don't even really talk about it. You're now not even playing Cason Pryor, who he basically got that last spot on the roster when we all were talking about capable power forwards to bring in who could potentially start over Javon Hadley. We opted to get Pryor back at a price. I think that's looking like a poor investment if we're just being real. Zugers plays hard, but my God, he looks like Scoots out there when he's trying to make a layup. He just has no offensive game. Kobe Rogers doesn't look like he belongs at this level. Like, that's a lot of misses for one roster that you were hoping was going to be top 10 good.
Call me crazy, but when you perform the way you do last night on the offensive glass, on the defensive glass, and just overall on the defensive end, a player like Mo Kamara can be playing in that game. I'm sorry.
It does make you wonder, like, if they were willing to bring in London Johnson and do all these things, like, is he, like...
You tell me Mo Kamara is a worse rebounder than Cason Pryor right now, as it stands?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
People will ask you, what's going on with Cason, and I can't speak to it to any sort of degree of certainty. I don't know if he's still hurt. I don't know if he's not picking up the system, the new stuff that they're trying to teach him. I don't know I don't know what's going on, but it's very clear. Pat Kelsey said earlier in the season, in November, when Cason was working his way back and playing limited minutes, he was like, look, this guy, at some point, like, he's going to be very instrumental in whatever success we have this season. I think we can say pretty definitively, like, that's not going to be the case.
No.
Like, we're not even
we
playing.
haven't had like a clutch bucket in a 5-point performance or something.
No, I mean, he hit the 3 threes against Memphis. I think that's
Waterman massively more critical last year than what Kason Pryor's been this year.
He's not playing. We're not playing. His minutes are going to Zugris at this point. So, like, my whole point is, I don't know if there's help coming. Like, I'll ask you the question: how much better can we really get? I think Michael can get a lot better as the season goes on. He's still a freshman. He's only been, he's 2 games back. But these other guys, we're talking about a lot of mostly finished products at this point. Where is the area where we could reasonably make a sizable enough jump that we have hope of doing something special in March?
It doesn't exist with this personnel, Mike. I hate to say that on the radio right now. Someone could be listening to this. That's what I truly believe. I think there's a philosophy change. There's a few different philosophy changes you can address that can change the way that teams attack us and the way we can go about attacking other teams. Outside of that, this roster was not constructed in a way that we have the ability to change it, and that feels crazy to say because one of the biggest emphasis when the roster was getting constructed and built was, look at the versatility we're going to be able to have. Look at the way that we're going to be able to go with so many different options in the front court. Khalifa and Frew need to be playing together at this point in the season. Like, they need to be on the floor at the same time with Javon Hadley at the 3 because that's the only way we can guard big teams and have a chance at rebounds. I don't have any belief that this team can be versatile now. What I think has to change is the full approach, right? Completely. You're a smaller team. You thought this team could kind of have that heart, have that culture of buying in and being pest on the ball, and everybody kind of feeds off of each other's defensive energy. That doesn't exist. You have to go and try to find a way to create that now. Call me crazy. You've got to go be crazy, right? Go be the team that fouls the most. Go full court pressure, no matter what, start to finish. Play everybody on the roster. Tell everybody, I don't care if you foul out. I want you to have 2 or 3 or 4 fouls going into halftime because we want to have this team shooting more free throws than we do 3-point attempts or whatever it may be. You can't stop anybody from getting to the rim. The Big X starting 5 could get a couple of open layups against this Louisville team. If that's the case, go out there and change what's happening defensively completely and be a team that's going to hound the ball no matter what. We're going to take the foul calls. We're going to foul. We're going to have the most technicals in college basketball. We're going to have the most flagrants in college basketball because that's the skill. You don't have the skill to go and do anything differently on the offensive end, and you don't have the size to go anything. The size with the players that are skilled enough to play are not going to do anything defensively for you at this point. Sonata Frew's not good, Mike. When we talk about top 25 March Madness level teams that think they can make a run in March. He's not tournament good.
He hasn't played like it.
Zugris shouldn't be on the floor offensively. Love the effort, love the energy. He's playing harder than everybody. He can't go 2 or 3 moments touching the ball without traveling. This roster doesn't have it. So you've got to go do the other things that basketball allows you to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to hone in on the roster assembly criticism, which is it's part of being a head coach, we used to always talk about it. Well, recruiting is part of being a head coach. You have to take that into consideration as well when you're talking about who's a great head coach and who's not a great head coach. Roster construction in this day and age, head coach has input. It's a big part of being successful in college basketball. The best criticism you can give to this season's roster assembly is in late January, you had 10 minutes of Vangelis Zugris guarding Cameron Boozer one-on-one in the post.
And you're not telling them to switch it out there. That's the matchup. That's who you wanted guarding him.
That should not have happened this season. Now, and again, like part of that is Kenai was out. He would have probably taken those minutes, and he guarded Boozer pretty well the first go-round. But still.
But that's why you go find a Kamara who can play. You go find a Zugris who's a fifth-year senior who's bounced around, and he's not any good, but he's played college basketball, knows how to screen and roll and catch a basket and get to the rim and can knock down his free throws. You can't keep taking risk on players when you haven't solidified yourself as a culture and an identity here at Louisville yet.
We've got 15 spots on the roster now for scholarship players. You should have had someone. We shouldn't be in a position where one reserve getting sick means we're playing the guy that we thought we were going to redshirt one-on-one against the best player in college basketball for a 10 minutes of a 40-minute basketball game. Like that right there is all the evidence that you need that this roster was not properly constructed. I'm going to say one last thing before we break here because I know we have a lot of text to read after the break. And this sounds like a hokey radio thing, but this is what bothered me the most about last night and what's bothered me a lot throughout this season. They just don't seem to be as affected by these types of games as last year's team was. I don't think it crushes these guys. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope that they spent all last night just like, I can't believe that happened. I can't think about anything else. They don't seem to have that, like, we'll do whatever we've got to do to avoid this feeling. Because they've had it 4 times now at this point, and nothing really significant has changed in those types of situations.
I can see it on Ryan's face, and I can see it on Adrian's face.
I agree with that.
That they are impacted by it. I don't know if it's as much as they should be. But they look like they're distraught at the end of the games when they're like this.
It's not like it was last year.
But it's not like it was last year.
Just saying. And this team has no business not being better than last year's team. Let's take a break. When we come back, Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Your thoughts after the break on the text line. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450 The Big X. edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Reminder, United Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Give them a call any hour, any day. 502-339-1133 is the number. UnitedMechanicalInc.com is the website. Obviously, it's a bit of a somber day here just because of what happened with the basketball team last night. We'll talk about the football schedule coming up here shortly, but wanted to give you guys on the Gameday Men's Health text line an opportunity to weigh in with your thoughts at 502-414-1450. Before we get to the text line, I've got one parting thought on this whole deal. Can we not do the whole, like, we need to fire Pat Kelsey type deal? I don't love the way this season has gone. I've got concerns, big picture-wise, when it comes to the notion of whether or not he can be a top-tier head coach in college basketball, which is the expectation at a place like Louisville. He's not going to get fired at the end of the season.
The expectation for year two when he was hired was not to win the national championship.
It wasn't. I mean, I think we should be – I think we had higher – I don't think he's meeting whatever the expectation for year two was.
Fair.
But I also don't think that we need to, like, we've got to stop ebbing and flowing between one extreme to the next. Like, it can't just be, we've got our guy, he gets us, this guy could be better than Patino, and then 2 days later, he's never going to win here, we've got to fire him. Maybe that's right. Maybe he could coach here from now until eternity, and he could never win a national title. The reality is we have a 15-month sample size of him on the job, and we just don't know. There have been a lot of coaches that have struggled at their first power conference job for a couple of years and then have really gotten it going. I get that it was a different time then. I get that the challenges and the advantages are both very different now than they were 10, 20, 50 years ago. But there's still a world where this season winds up being just okay and Pat Kelsey winds up being a fantastic head coach. My point is, he's not going to get fired regardless. So there's no point in being like, we got to get rid of him. He's got to go. He's not the right guy. He's going to get a year 3. Unless something awful happens next season, he's going to get a year 4 as well. So let's just sit back.
Was that how long his extension was? I thought he was getting a 5th, I thought.
Well, I was just saying, like, I think the earliest that Josh Hurd would pull a trigger on a guy who, was ACC Coach of the Year in year 1, could have a good, not great season in year 2. It would take, I think, something dramatic for him to not get a 4th year, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Especially when we're still paying Kenny Payne at this point in time, and we're not exactly in a position financially to just be like hiring and firing guys willy-nilly like we've got SEC and Big Ten money. We're not. This is your coach. He's going to be here. Hopefully, that winds up being a great. I'm not saying don't criticize him. Certainly, we've already criticized him a decent amount on this show today and in past days. But I am saying any notion of like tweeting at Josh Hurd and saying you got to get this guy out of here, it's just
pointless.
It's pointless is the right word.
I've got a question for you. We'll wait till the 4 o'clock segment, but it's about the rest of the season and the remaining schedule. You can do it now if you'd like.
I would like you to do it now.
Do you think that? How would you feel about the idea of just potentially slowing everything down, becoming the slowest team possible? I think that with the way we've seen this team defend, that has to be the goal now. I think you need to try to slow down every offense you can and be a team that maybe doesn't push the pace on the offensive end. Because when we're turning the ball over and we're shooting those long, bad shots and we're allowing teams to play fast, they take advantage of it. We don't. And there's a couple of opponents on our schedule in particular that I'd want to ask you about, because if we do the same thing we did against Duke, North Carolina could do the same thing to us.
Oh, yeah. Now, I mean, to answer your question, I think it's a bad idea just because teams that want to slow things down as much as possible are almost like 98% of the time teams that are more defensive laden. They want fewer possessions because they know that they're going to struggle a little bit more on offense. So fewer possessions gives them the better opportunity to knock off teams that have more natural talent.
If you have the shooting like we do, you give yourself the opposite effect.
Right. I mean, we've built our team in a way where I don't think that there's a way to pivot to that. We can't, like, we're not good defensively. We're not. we've not gotten a lot better, which I was hoping we would. It's difficult. Like, okay, say the North Carolina game. If we played a game where we're going for as few possessions as possible, it's difficult for me to envision the type of us giving the type of defensive effort that we would need to have a chance to win that game. Does the style of play that we're going with now leave us more susceptible to like 31-point losses? Sure, but I still do think it's your best. Like you've got to
see that again.
You've got to make this work. Like that's we have put ourselves in a corner where this is the only way through, and we're either going to just like keep floundering and never get better, or we're going to get the offense humming and find a way to beat good teams by scoring 92 points or something like that. Like this is what we can talk, I think, in the off season about overall philosophies and potentially revisiting some things. But as of right now, with a month to go until March, I don't think there's anything that you can really like. You can maybe change some stuff up defensively. He worked in the 1-3-1 zone for a possession against Virginia Tech. You can do more of that. You can change some of the things that you do offensively. But I think your overall grand vision for this roster, the way that it's set up, you can't just erase the whiteboard at this point in time. Like you just got to hope that.
I don't agree with erasing the whiteboard in the end of January either.
You gotta hope that Michael becomes like one of like the guy that you thought he was going to be over the next. Like I hate to simplify it that much. If Michael Brown doesn't have an absurd next 8 weeks, this team's not going to have an absurdly good 8 weeks. Like that's the long and short of it. He's got to be sensational. He wasn't sensational last night. He was downright bad, and as a result, I think the team was terrible. He is the biggest. He's the only real trump card that we've got. He can make everybody else around him more effective. He can make plays on his own that I think nobody else in this roster can. He's the only way through. Like that's the only shot that we've got to have the type of finish to this season that we all were envisioning at the beginning of the year. I hate to say it, it's a lot of weight on a 19-year-old kid's shoulders. That's why we brought him in. Go out there, be a top 5 pick. He wasn't a top 5 pick last night.
I think going forward, before we get into this Gameday Mens Health text line, go get the top 5 pick that's a wing player that can shoot it, light it up, and dribble. And go bring a Chucky Hepburn.
Just go get us AJ DeBonsa.
Go get a 5th-year senior at point guard every year, and go get us a DeBonsa if you want to go the lottery route.
I'd like to have a Cam Boozer.
We can be PGU without it being the lottery pick at PG.
Do you think that that's, the level of discontent last night? Don't get me wrong. You're never going to have this fan base just taking a 31-point loss in stride. But when you talk about like some of the stuff that's out there about Pat Kelsey, do you think that some of it is rooted in the fact that it doesn't look like right now we've got no guarantee that next season's going to be good because we don't know. We've got no players coming in. Do you think
we don't know what we're going to play like next year?
I mean, I think that we would be more okay with the way that things are going right now if we had the 2026 class equivalent of like Cam Boozer or DeBonsa or Michael or whoever, like a top 5 guy in that class that we felt like could be a major difference maker locked and coming in. I think that would go a long way towards sort of comforting people right now.
This roster may actually look like 2024 more than
we've got nobody.
Year.
And we got a lot of guys that don't have any eligibility left. Like we're probably going to have like 10 portal players next season on the roster. And I don't think that given how the way this year has gone so far, that's not exactly what the fan base wants to hear right now. And I think that that's adding to everybody's sort of
did you
doubts.
Say 4?
What?
Did you say 4?
For what?
Transfer?
I said I think we're going to have like 10 transfers.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was going to say it's going to be more than 4.
No, we're going to have like 10 guys from the portal coming in on next year's team.
At least 6.
And, people talk about the disconnect this year with this group and, maybe the chemistry feels a little bit off. You're going to have the same exact challenges next year, maybe even more so. Because, I mean, who's coming back from this year's team?
Mo Kamara might be back.
I mean, do we? Adrian Woolley?
Woolley, I think, yeah, he's played himself out of
Do we even know that he's coming back?
Has he maybe played himself out of a second-round pick?
Yeah, I mean, Adrian Woolley can't go pro at this point. But, I mean, you look at our top 4 scorers, 3 of them are out of eligibility after this, and one of them is going to be a top 10 draft pick. Frew, I guess,
Frew's a
will
freshman
come back.
With 2 years of eligibility.
Yeah, Woolley, Kanai, Kobe's out of eligibility, Ollie's out of eligibility, Kaysen's out of eligibility. Zoo can come back, and that's it.
Kaysen and Ollie, you never know. They may, Probably find some.
There's always eligibility in the banana stand. They can find something. All right, let's go to the text line, 502-414-1450. Here we go. Positivity. It's coming to you in waves here. Here we go. Texter says, this is Boxcar Bob. Fill in the blank. Isaac McNeely deserves to stay on the court when he's not making threes because he does blank well.
Keeps the guys in good spirits.
Does he?
He's like a coach on the court.
Gym rat. Pretty sure his dad was a coach. He's a coach's son.
Like, he's not even always in the right place at the right time. He doesn't have any little...
He's never in the right place at the right time.
Like, intangible, fundamental things in his game.
I mean, if we're just playing guys because we think they can shoot it, like get Johnny Kelsey a jersey. I saw him lighting it up at Cameron Indoor. He gave you probably more defensive effort. He's just... I mean, Isaac just... You know the game plan last night could not have been go under the screen when Isaiah Evans has the ball in his hands. And he does it the second possession. Like, what on earth are you doing? I was losing my mind. That was what I was like. I was like, get him out. Get him out. I can't deal with it. And then he's not making threes. He's giving you nothing on offense. I know Adrian Woolley is more of a, when he makes mistakes, they're more glaring than McNeely's mistakes. But he gives you a better chance defensively. He can actually make some plays off the dribble. I'm fine with him starting to eat into more of Isaac's minutes as we get deeper in the season. Unless, I mean, like Isaac will light up some bad teams from the outside because they'll lose him, but against good teams, he just gets swallowed. He's a ghost out there. Texas Tampa card here. I'm a little tired of hearing Pat Kelsey say we got to go back and watch the tape in the post-game press conference after a loss. He just coached a basketball game for 40 minutes and had the best seat in the house. Does that mean he's incapable of noticing issues in real time and making in-game adjustments? He has to watch the tape again to see what we did wrong. He talks about effort and gives the other team credit, but never gets into any detail about how we're going to fix the issues we're facing. I mean, he didn't do a full-on presser last night. He did like a Zoom thing, and then he talked with Jody in the radio show. So we didn't really get a chance to hear him answer questions. But from what I heard, he basically just kept saying we got our butt kicked, and that was kind of, I think he said butt kicking 12 times is the official count via Eric Crawford. But, I mean, we went through this a little bit with bad coaches in the past. Is there ever anything that a coach who's losing more than the fan base wants can say that makes people feel better after games like,
I mean, give me a timestamp that the moment McNeely went under the screen. Badger him for that in that interview, and every other moment from every other player by name. I want to hear what they did wrong and when they did it and how that was the start of.
We want heads on spikes after games like this. We want you throwing players under the bus. We want you throwing yourself. He basically just said, from what I heard, the clips that I heard, we were bad last night. Everybody was bad last night. Got our tails kicked. They beat us rebounding. I did like seeing him really get after Sananda Frew, calling timeout after that, because that was a terrible. Frew was bad all night, but that was one where the ball's right in front of him. He just doesn't stick his arms out, and then he gets it ripped away. They get 3 offensive rebounds, and at some point you've got to have some heart. You got to show some courage down there. And Kelsey laid into him. I was like, all right, good. We need more of that.
I'd like to know, with the other, I don't even want to call them great coaches, but the other really good coaches in college basketball right now that have had success in March, how many people, a part of their coaching staff, are giving in-game assessments and points to their head coach on this is what needs to be done, this is what needs to be done. It looks like every moment on the floor he's looking back and getting confirmation from 2 assistant coaches on what needs to happen or what needs to change. Do you think there's maybe too much of a team coaching going on between the group?
No, I mean, I don't think that's abnormal. Typically, you have one coach that's one assistant that's primarily responsible for a scout in a game. I think we have, we let Mike Cassidy handle the offensive part. Cloman and Carr do the defensive stuff, so we go with that. So I think
Pat Kelsey's just out there kind of picking what play needs to be called?
He's always getting input throughout the game. That's not overly abnormal. I think what I'd like to see more of is, there was a really good clip after the first Duke-Louisville game of what Shire told his team at halftime, and I think he's laying into them, and he lays into them, and then he hypes them up at the end, and is like, these guys are good and can get away from you. You've got to step the bleep up, and we're going to. Let's go do it. I think we need more of that because this team, you got to coach every team differently. I mean, I'm not one to say something like this, but knowing coaches at various levels growing up, most of the great ones all talk about how you've got to get a feel for your team. You can't just do the same thing every single year. This group, they may need you to get after them a little bit more. You may need to mother bleep them up a little bit more than last year's team. They don't seem like they're as self-motivated.
That's the scary part about college basketball now, is that you never know which player is going to be like, all right, I'm not listening to this guy anymore. I got
That's
my
true.
money. Season's over.
I mean, but the one thing is, regardless of your approach, the time where you're the most susceptible to having that type of attitude is when you're getting your ass kicked. So the best way to avoid it is to win.
Or to have it year-round.
Yeah, I mean, we got to try something different. Texter says, I think it's time to start talking about the big picture with Pat Kelsey. We're a year and a half into his tenure, and we get blown out every time we play against a top-tier team. I think the discussion needs to be, how much longer does Kelsey have to prove that he's a coach at the highest level? I get a lot of that is going to be determined by how far we go in the tournament, but if we crash out in the first or second round, I think Kelsey's on the hot seat going into year 3. I don't. I mean, maybe from like the fan perspective, but I don't think there's any shot that you fire him after 3 years if he's, if we're talking about us having
like going into next season. I get what you're saying. Okay.
I mean,
no, I don't think so. This program that was 12 wins over 2 seasons, and then into the tournament 2 seasons in a row in his first 2 years.
Let me ask you a question right there,
coach.
Yeah, let me ask you a question right there, because I've heard other people talk about this, and I do think it's worth having a discussion about. So Kelsey, he was ACC Coach of the Year last season primarily because, 18-2 is a Coach of the Year type resume regardless of what the situation is. But he took over a program that had won 12 games the past 2 years. It was coming off of 3 consecutive losing seasons, was from a basketball purely standpoint as low as it's ever been when he took over. And revived the program, all that stuff. If that hadn't been the case, if he had just simply been given the program after 7 successful years by Chris Mack, or Rick Pitino retired or whatever, and this was the type of effort that he was giving in year 2,
then the texter's 102% correct.
Yeah, I mean, we would all have a different take, wouldn't we? And I guess my question is,
or even if this was a coach who's proven it, which is a weird way to put it, this was Scott Drew. Having the season, he had the season he had last year, and he's now having this season. We'd be like, "Whoa, what's going on? This is
sure.
This is not right. This is not what a coach like you is supposed to be doing." We have to also give Pat Kelsey a little bit of grace for the fact that he's also learning.
Okay, but I was going to ask you that. The game has changed so much. We were able to turn things around so quickly last year because of the portal and getting NIL and all this stuff. We were able to get players from other programs that we wouldn't have been able to get 5 years ago. Does that change the whole, well, we've got to give him a little bit of grace because where the program was? If we're going to applaud how quickly he was able to turn things around, should we say, this isn't 2005 anymore? If you can't build a contender with the NIL that we've got in year 2, what hope do we have that you can, it's not a slow build anymore. We're supposed to be right back there. Dusty May is doing it in Michigan, right? In year 2. We know what the standard is at Louisville. My question is, should we hold Kelsey to that standard in year 2, even given what he inherited, because everything's different than it used to be, and what happened before you arrived really doesn't matter anymore?
That's the lovely part about the tournament. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. If he goes on a 10-game win or 8-game win streak to end this season and then wins 2 tournament games, and one of those games was against a team that we all felt as fans was better than us, it's right back to the Jeff Brom situation. He's got a whole new roster we think could be better, and we know what he is now. We know Jeff Brom can go and win and beat the Miami team. If he just gets this kind of a roster at every position, we're going to start saying the same exact things about Pat Kelsey. Well, he won 2 tournament games with a team that looked like their season was falling apart. He got it together there a little bit at the end. We didn't think we were going to go to the Final Four, but he still got over a hump of winning a tournament game, which he wasn't able to do. Now, maybe if we can get another lottery pick or another couple top 2 or 3 pieces. At one point, we had the best transfer portal grade in the last summer before the season started because of the names we were able to bring in. We're all going to say if he can do that and get a better roster, and we're right back onto the Pat Kelsey train again. That's what's amazing about the transfer portal in the NCAA basketball tournament. He can change every narrative he has by I say 2 wins, 1 win against the team evenly matched with us.
It's so strange because the way, I'm 41 now. I've followed college basketball my whole life. And the way that we always kind of graded these things and charted these things and tracked these things is completely different now than it used to be just because of this brave new world. But if we are looking at Pat Kelsey's overall resume and kind of viewing things through the old lens, we're talking about a guy who in his last 8 years as a head coach has been to 9 years, has been to 6 NCAA tournaments, 5 times at Winthrop and Charleston, which is they're playing in one-and-done type conferences. He went, 26-7 last year? Won 26 games, 27-8 last year. Won more conference games than we've ever won in any season in any conference, and some of those conferences were certainly worse than last year's ACC. We're 14-6 right now overall, which is not a terrible record. We're still in very good shape to make the NCAA tournament. If we were grading him with that in mind in 2015, we'd all be like, he's got to have more time. This is still a very good coach, but because it's this, we need to have results right away, it's totally different. And I'm not even saying that that's invalid. I think that maybe that's where we are as a program. If we don't know exactly how much we spent on this roster, but I think reasonable reports indicate that it's probably one of the 15 most expensive rosters in college basketball. You should probably get top 15 results if you're a top 15 type coach with this type of roster. And right now, we're not getting top 15 results. I think this is a legit top 25 team, but that's kind of it. I don't think we're a legit top 15 team right now. I'm not sure we're a legit top 20 team right now. And that's just it's not good enough. I'm not saying got to fire him. I'm just saying at this moment in time, the job that he's doing here is not good enough. And I don't think that's a hot take.
It's not at all. Luckily for Pat Kelsey, though, in this day and age,
you can make up for it.
It is way easier to flip that script and change that. Archie Miller, 4 or 5 years in Indiana, didn't make a tournament. Mike Woodson, 4 or 5 years in Indiana, made it twice.
I don't love these comparisons.
I'm just saying.
This is not where I would like you to go.
This is the comparison to Pat, how many times he's made the NCAA tournament in the last 8 years. He's a tournament. He can get a team to the tournament. It's a matter of him getting that upper echelon level of talent to see if he can take a team through the tournament now.
This is the great thing about college basketball, or it's the unfair thing about college basketball, depending on how you look at it. If we were having an equivalent type season in football, so the equivalent of what would be 8 games into the regular season, and Jeff Brom is 4-4 with a team that we thought was going to be a legit playoff contender. Season's done at that point. He can win the last 4 games. Who cares? This season's a remarkable failure. We've had no fun whatsoever. With Pat Kelsey, we can keep being a little bit up and down for the next month or so. If you go out there and you win 3 games in March against 3 quality opponents, take the fan base on a ride to the second weekend for the first time in a decade, all's forgiven. And all of a sudden people are like, this is the team we could have been the whole year. That's Arkansas fans, they hated John Calipari last year and we're like, he's over the hill. He wins 2 games in the NCAA tournament, damn near wins the 3rd game in the Sweet 16, and they're right back to saying, Kentucky, you made the wrong choice. Look at what we're doing down here. We could be that fan base this year, and that's the that's the joy of the NCAA tournament. But we could also be a fan base that's we got sold a raw deal here if we go one and done in the tournament again, or God forbid, don't make the tournament. Has that crept into your mind at all?
Not making it?
Yeah.
No.
Me either.
But an A seed, that's crept in.
Sure. We're right there in that ballpark right now. I'll tell you what, if we lose Saturday against SMU, which is very possible. SMU's a good basketball team. They took Duke down to the wire on the road just a couple weeks ago. If we lose that game, then I think you start having that conversation where it's it's not a guarantee right now that we're going to hear our name called on Selection Sunday if we don't step it up dramatically here. Texter says, we can't win big games. That's the whole text. That's just that's it. I do love like every Louisville fan talking about this right in front of Kentucky fans, and Kentucky fans just kind of have to take it. It's like we can't beat anybody with a pulse. Nobody's good. Indiana UK fans that are following all of us are like, yeah, well.
This guy tweeted at me 4 hours ago with my quoted tweet from 35KY Sports where Rashawn Myers asked Pat Kelsey about the 1-3-1 zone just from a couple days ago. This guy just replied to my quote today, said Timu Calipari. And we just got a text earlier, or just now, saying Michael better than John Wall, though. So the UK fans are still...
UK fans, I've gotten like 10 of these. I don't know. I'm sure some account tweeted it out. I never said this. I never once said Michael Brown was going to be better than John Wall. You guys have invented this thing that I said right before we got into that conversation.
You didn't even almost say it is what's like sucks.
Didn't come close to ever saying
the opportunity to take the, what did you say? The opportunity to have the same presence here that John Wall had there.
And I think I repeated myself like 7 times by saying I'm not comparing them as players. That, you know, that clip's out there, and if anybody wants to hear it. But it's just become this thing where it's like Mike Rutherford said that like pretty soon it's going to be like Mike Rutherford said John Wall sucked in college. Like it just takes a life of its own. I told you guys you were going to do this. It's exactly what you did. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More text after the break. It's the Rutherford Show here on the Big X.
Carry. Joe.
day. The breeze won't fall from far away. Get the ball inside to a capable center. 'Cause we got no big wins. We can't be good teams. Well, Daniel Powder for your 4 o'clock hour here. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Hopefully you have burrowed your way out of the snow. This is the first time I've been out of the house, besides like playing in the backyard with the kids, since the snowpocalypse started. It feels good to get out a little bit. See different people, breathe some fresh air.
It's nice.
It's nice. Did not feel nice shoveling all that bleep off the driveway, but what are you going to do? So we also have this thing. I don't know if anybody else deals with this. Our dog, she like hates going out in the snow. She doesn't mind the cold. Like she'll go and she'll sit on the couch on our back deck all night long, but she won't go out in the snow. And so using the bathroom has become an issue. No, we did. I see this clip every time we're about to have winter weather on like Instagram Reels or whatever, where you put a tarp down before the snow starts and then you pull it away. And so there's a little grassy area for the dog to do its business. And I was like, we tried this years ago. It didn't work. I'm going to try it again. We did it. She refuses to go in the area. Like I like pick her up. I put her down in the grassy area. She won't go. But and Penny, like she's the best dog when it comes to stuff like this. She pooped in our basement today because we haven't been able to walk her. She can't go in the yard. And like she like came upstairs and like let us know. Like she was like going crazy and she led us downstairs to show us what she done. But I'm like, girl, like we got to get you to go in the snow. I don't know what to do because this snow, it's not going anywhere. Like the temps are going to be freezing for the next 10 days. We're not going to have a cleared area in the backyard. She won't go there anyway. I'm just not looking forward to the next week and a half. I need one day of like 55-degree weather just so we can get all this crap out of here. It's terrible.
It's going to be a while.
I know. Just not fun. Not loving any part of it. 502-414-1450 is the Gameday Men's Health text line. I think you and Holly need to get a dog.
We've got a dog.
Do you have a dog?
We've got a Great Dane.
Oh, that's right.
He chooses to believe that the snow means that the deck is somewhere he can pee. There's snow. He walks out on the deck and does not go all the way down to the grass. That's all he thinks he has to do now.
Dogs are weird.
He hates the snow.
So does Penny. She loved it when she was like a puppy. Loved running it as an older. I mean, she's like me. Loved the snow when I was little. Loved getting out there. Now I'm old. I'm like, eh. Plus, I didn't realize this snow is also terrible for making like a snowman. You need that like late winter or early winter kind of thick snow. Like you're supposed to like get this snow wet if you want to make it. It was just like too powdery, and we made an effort. It was like the worst snowman I've ever seen, but Virginia stayed out there for like an hour and a half. I was like, I'm going inside. Like I'll watch you from inside. I can't do this anymore. There's just nothing fun happening right now. There's no. I don't care about the Super Bowl. I'm glad that Matt's Patriots are there. I guess I could care less about Seahawks versus Pats. The Reds suck. They're not doing anything. I need something happy. And I'm not getting it right now. Make me happy, text line, 502-414-1450. Texter says, this is Roman Hater. Probably not going in a great direction. Serious question. What was the game plan or adjustment made by Kelsey and staff when we got down multiple possessions? I can't get over how poorly constructed this roster is. Building a team around a freshman guard went well for what national title winning team? The one thing that I'll say is, I mean, whoever wins the national title this year, there's probably a good chance that a freshman's going to be one of their best players. Like, this class is different. I don't hate them for doing that. I think they should have probably had more of a pivot. But, I mean, the team that just beat us by 31 is kind of built around a really good freshman as well. Sanana Fru can go back to the Brazilian Butt League after this year. I've never seen a pro be so reliant on matchups. If he's going to be worth a damn or not, this man is missing layups and getting bullied. So many other teams have hit on European guys, and we have this guy being hit or miss. Zoo is out there doing cardio with his friends. Mo Kamara gets to chill in sweats. Redshirting Kobe Rogers sure looked to be a good idea. He was a Division II player. Stop wasting spots on red shirts and get guys who can contribute. Speaking of contribution, I don't care if Cason Pryor was cheap. He was a waste of money. Agreed. Also, has anyone put missing signs up around town for Isaac McNeely? I'm sure Pat has some Skip Prosser quote to help pick him up. Jeez. Skip Prosser's been kind of catching some strays I've seen on social media where people are like, I don't want another Skip Prosser coach. The guy couldn't even get to a Final Four. No more Prosser coaching tree. Skip Prosser was a very good coach, but if this winds up not turning out well, yeah, we probably need to steer clear. Is there anybody on the team that Roman Hater didn't just grill? I think that was like roster hater. Texter says, hey, Mark, for the past 2 months, I've been trying to tell you that this team isn't tough enough to compete with the elite teams in college basketball. Taylor Lynch said the exact thing on last night's postgame show. They're very clearly like not. I don't think it's just toughness when you lose by 31. And it might be that they're not tough and they're also just not good enough, right? Like toughness doesn't make your starting point guard shoot 1 of 13. We might just not be that good. I don't know what to do about that.
You can't be not very good, not very tough, and not very big.
I mean, besides that, we're just a couple made shots away. Yeah, I mean, God, I wish we could have done a show yesterday. I was feeling so good.
I'm glad we didn't.
I really and truly thought
full enough of myself in the pregame show yesterday.
God, I did too on the podcast. I picked us to beat Duke.
I did too.
And I'm never over the top.
Trevor didn't even pick them to beat them.
Like I'm usually, if there's a game where we're a 7.5 point underdog, I'm typically like, I can see us having a shot, but I feel like we're not going to win. Like I had a very good feeling going into last night's game. I sure as bleep didn't think we were going to get 31-pieced. And I mean, we weren't remotely competitive. It was the travel. It was just the same day travel. I'm actually surprised we kept it that close. Most teams would have lost by 50 in that situation.
We didn't get our game day music out yesterday.
That was the issue.
Never had a chance.
That was the issue. People are like, "Oh, are the witches done?" I mean, yeah, kind of. I feel like that was maybe the witches had a 1-week expiration. You need to like re-up. I don't know how this works. I'm not a witch practitioner. Texas, last year we played 6 teams that made the round of 32, and we lost to all of them and by a total of 89 points. That's not good. This year, 5 of our 6 losses are arguably at the same level, and we've lost by a total of 81 points. That's 0-11 with an average of loss of 15.5 points. Very good teams scout our system like a book and have no problems handling it, much less being intimidated by it. Kelsey clearly doesn't believe in making major adjustments when his system doesn't work either in between or in games. Thinking continuing to grind the same way with sheer willpower improves things. And recent comments after losses about defense and rebounding being solely effort-based and wanting it more doesn't give hope that he's going to change anything from here on out. I mean, he's certainly, I don't think, going to change anything significantly right now. Because I don't think that there's a possible pivot out there. You've just got, like, the only hope right now is that Michael's going to start going on a, like, AJ DeBonsa type tear, or like a Keaton Wagler type tear, or a Ibuka Okori type tear. And that's going to be good enough to make us a legit top 15 team.
Those teams play good basketball outside of those tears.
I get it. You're not wrong. I'm just saying we've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
We've got nowhere else to place our hope.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why it's so hard to find hope right now after a game like last night. The offense never once had that type of run. If we can't score more than 52 points against Duke, who's a very good defensive team, but like you're going to have to beat a very good defensive team if you're going to make it to the second weekend of the tournament or beyond. Like
Florida State almost gave Duke 90 points. It's bad. 52 points?
Nobody should be holding this team to 52 with the style of play and the type of guys that you went out there and got. And it's not just, when the shots aren't falling. They're taking bad shots. They're making bad decisions. They're not running the offense effectively. And at times it seems like they're not running any offense, period. Like, that can't happen. That has to be our ace in the hole. The one thing that the super skill that this team was supposed to have was, doesn't matter who you roll out there against them, they're going to have a chance to put up 90 on anybody. I don't feel like when we play good defensive teams that we have any shot of hitting 85 or 80, let alone 90. Tennessee holds us to 62. Duke holds us to 73 and 52. I mean, Arkansas, we scored 80, but we were down by 20 the whole second half. Like, when has this team looked like it's Yeah, people keep comparing it to Alabama from a couple of years ago. When have we ever looked like that team on offense? The Kentucky game was third game of the season.
Yeah.
Besides that, against anybody with a pulse, the offense has not looked remotely like we thought it was going to. We dropped from number 7 last night in adjusted offensive efficiency to 12th. We're the 12th best offensive team in college basketball. And you would say, well, that's good. For this team to have a shot to be special, it needed to be a top 3 team in offense, the way it was constructed. Because we knew it wasn't going to be a top 20 team in defense. And they're not close to that. They're a good team at this point. They're not great. They're certainly not elite. And the sad thing is, I don't feel like there's a real chance of them making up that gap between now and the end of the season. Like, I don't see the path towards great or elite at this point. Texas Riddler here. Oh, boy. I'm here to call for Josh Hurd's job. What else is new? In no way, shape, or form should he have any involvement whatsoever in coaching decisions for us moving forward. The Riddler is officially out on PK until he proves he can beat anyone with a pulse. The roster assembly is embarrassing. We are soft. Boozer sat in foul trouble at the end of the first half. We were down 1 and ended the first half down double digits. This isn't Louisville basketball, but what's the point of calling for the dude's job when the loser in charge of hiring him would just screw it up again? Fire Josh, beg James Madison's AD to come, and then throw a bag at Todd Golden. We're not getting Todd Golden.
That's not leaving.
I thought we had longer to go before we got back into these. You just got to make Todd Golden say no. I mean,
I want to see what Pat Kelsey can do with whatever next year's Chucky Hepburn is, with Baba Miller and a Danny Wolf-esque size skill down low. Again, I said 2 guys that got drafted, but go get that defensive, cutthroat, prioritizing, stopping his matchup on the guard end with your point guard. Get a versatile swing and get a big who can do it all, who's done it all in college basketball already. The taking risk on European players, trying to get them to come over and learn this type of game, getting players to come up. You can't. Terrence Edwards don't happen every single year. You know, it's hard to find those. Adrian Woolley's an in-between, I think. I think he belongs at the Division I level. I don't think he's going to be all ACC tournament or all ACC-esque good this season.
Keep in mind, Terrence Edwards was a conference player of the year for a team that went like 30-2.
Probably shouldn't have been playing at that level the year before.
I mean, and he wouldn't have been if he'd been in an earlier age. Like he would have transferred somewhere very. Like, keep in mind, that was the first real cycle of NIL, and we all were like, "Oh my God, we're paying this guy $150,000 to come here." Like, he would have made $3.5 million like 3 years later if he'd been born just a little bit later and had the same career path. Like, those players are tough to go out there and find, but you got to do it. Like, that's like this is where Pat Kelsey is right now.
You got to think you work with just enough money to go prioritize the size. You can go find players who want to play the way you want to play, that can rebound well, that can box out, that can play big, that are a little bit more versatile, that can guard more positions. They exist. If you're going to take the risk with the guards at the lower level and bringing them up, why not go try to find those on the swing players? It seems like we want to take risks with guys from Europe and see what we can make work with our guards.
Hey, my daughter's off school again tomorrow. There we go.
I think you've got to bring size in. Those Alabama teams the last few years, they obviously, Nate Oates didn't win a championship. He didn't make it, but
made a Final Four, though.
Made a Final Four. Though those teams they rebounded well. They offensively rebounded well, and they defended at an above-average level. You can't do that with a bunch of small guys. You can't.
No. I mean, the question is,
Sananda Fru's a great backup big.
I mean, I'm fascinated by. I'm not wishing away the next month and a half. This is still my favorite time of the year, and there's always going to be hope in college basketball, especially when you've got a roster as talented as ours. But assuming for a second that we finish this thing out the way that the first 3 months have gone, and it's a good, not great, and let's say we're like a 7 seed, 6 seed, win a game in the tournament, lose in the second round. I'm fascinated by what Pat Kelsey does next, because he's had the experience of, like, you're king of Louisville. Everywhere you go, people want to take pictures with you. Everybody's telling you how great you are. The real question about handling this job is what do you do when all of a sudden you're kind of the pariah of the community, and everybody has an idea about what you're doing wrong, and nobody's happy with the job you're doing, and everybody wants to know how you're going to turn it around. How is he going to turn it around? And I say turn it around in terms of making the tournaments not good enough here. How are you going to take us from 8 seed to 7 seed to we're right there competing for a national title? And the thing with Patino was he was always being compared to Calipari. The thing with Kelsey right now is he's always going to be compared to Dusty May, because Dusty May was the guy that looked like he was going to go here, and we lost him. Everybody agrees. We targeted Dusty May after Scott Drew said thanks but no thanks. We wanted to get Dusty May. We thought we had Dusty May. He went to Michigan. That's a program with less basketball history. They care less about the sport. There's less of a fan base up there.
You have more money, though.
They've got more money than we do right now, but it's not like apples to oranges money. Like we're still in the same ballpark when it comes to how much we're willing to spend on a roster as Michigan is, and the two teams could not be farther apart. Right? Well, they could be farther apart, but you get what I'm saying. Michigan looks like the best team in college basketball right now. They're 18-1. They're blowing dudes out. We look like we're maybe a top 25 team, and it's year 2 for both those guys. Plus, they went to the Sweet 16 last season. Like, people are going to be saying, if Dusty May did it, what could he be doing down here, and all that stuff. And that's going to be tough for Pat Kelsey to live up to. But it's on him to turn this thing around, to turn Louisville back into a national title contender. He knew that was the job when he took it. Now you're feeling the heat a little bit. Let's go. Let's see what you're made of. Can you be a guy that can win here at a consistent level for the next 20 years? If you can, you got to prove it at some point over the next 2. Ideally over the next 2 months. Texture says, Dolphins guy here. I told y'all I could spot a flashy team that flames out from a mile away. This team is buns, and I know the scapegoat. The roster construction sucks, and so does the defense. Guess who's accountable for both? Brian Cloman, the GM and tabbed as defensive coordinator by PK. This year, I'm blaming Cloman. Next year, it's PK if there's no change in the same results. Are we scapegoating Brian Cloman here?
A little bit. But, I mean, I don't want to – I hate saying everything gets kind of summed up to, well, we don't have a defender like Chucky Hepburn. Protecting the rim is more important than it is hounding the guard. I get hounding the guard every time down throws a team off of their game plan completely, depending on how important their guard is to their offense.
That's also on you, though. Like, they chose this route.
Yeah.
If they wanted a Chucky Hepburn type defensive player, they could have gone. Like, they knew,
didn't come up with a defensive game plan without one.
No. They knew Michael was going to be a liability on defense. I actually thought Michael wasn't terrible defensively last night. He's not great, but he wasn't terrible. And they went out there and they surrounded him with 2 other guys that have never been known for their defense.
And the expectation was your backup point guard to be the best on-ball defender for this team. How?
And he's been bad defensively. I'll just say it. Kobe Rogers has not been good defensively.
He was never going to be on the floor in close games either.
No.
So that was automatically like I don't know how my brain didn't adjust to that sooner on. I think I just believed that Ryan Conwell could be a better defender than we thought, which he's not been bad, but he's not been above
just
average.
Okay.
He's just average. He's a really big guard who can get his shot off and get down on the floor. He's going to probably be able to score on Ryan. An average guard, though, he can pest up a little bit.
The only way that works, playing straight man-to-man, is if you have a guy who can wipe away the mistakes of the guys in front of him at the rim. We don't have that guy. Like, we don't have forget about elite rim protector. We don't have a good rim protector. Besides that, like again, when you don't have guys who can stay in front of ball handlers, and you don't have a rim protector who can erase those mistakes with a shot block, what do you have? And to add to it, we defend the perimeter horribly. We're slow on rotations. We're slow on closeouts. We get caught ball watching every game. And even when we are in good guarding position, we have too many guys that just don't get their hands up. Like, I love Adrian Woolley. If I see a guy take a 3 one more time when Woolley's right in his face but has his hands down below his waist, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
Kanai did it last year. It's the easiest fix. Like, you show that to him on film and you say, if it happens, the next time it happens, you're going right to the bench. And every time after that, you're going right. There's no excuse not to have your hands in guarding positions when you're guarding a good shooter on the perimeter. It's the easiest thing in the world for him to rise and fire when you've got, hand down, man down. Like, you learn that when you're playing biddy ball at 6 years old. Get your hands up. Get your hands in somebody's face. What are we, like that has driven me more crazy than anything this season. If you're not going to be a great on-ball defensive team, if you're not going to have a great shot blocker, the least you can do is be in capable guarding position on the perimeter, and we don't do that well either.
There's other teams that exist that are not bad defensively that don't have either of those two things as well in college basketball, but what they do have is that one guy who loves defending more than anything. He loves making the other team mad more than anything. He likes being that, it's not scoring type of situations that he is a part of the actions to. We don't have that guy. We don't have that guy that loves being a part of the madness that is defending and playing basketball.
No, we don't.
You have to have at least that. You have to have at least that. Noah Waterman tried to buy into that as that bigger front court player for us last year. He didn't do a great job of it.
He played his ass off.
He wasn't laterally quick, but we at least had that presence as a team that didn't have a shot blocker. You knew Noah was going to put his body on somebody. You knew Javon Hadley was going to put his body on somebody. We don't want to be aggressors. And no successful college basketball team has that be the case for them. So that's a personnel thing. It's a coaching thing. It's both. You've got to get guys that want to be that, and you've got to show the guys that aren't that how to be that. You taught somebody, showed Terrence Edwards how to defend properly in this system, and then made him enjoy it, made him want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just the overall culture of what the team was. That kind of happened with Noah Waterman a little bit as well. We knew he wasn't a great defender. He worked his ass off all season long last season. No one's doing that. Abubakar Traore would come into the games smacking the floor. We don't have that.
I mean, I think seeing the way that Chucky played defensively, there's also a trickle-down effect, too. Like, when you see that guy at the point of attack just all over every dribble from the opposing point guard, it forces you to take your defensive game to – you don't want to let that guy down. You don't want to look silly once, they pass the ball to your man. Like everybody fed off that energy. I don't think there's anybody on this team that people are feeding off their energy on defense or offense.
I think they're feeding off Kanai's dance energy in the locker room. That's it.
Maybe that's what we've been missing. Maybe when Kanai gets healthy, the dance energy is going to be back, and maybe the Kanai vibes.
But what I'm saying, it's only positive vibes when good things are happening. Where's I'm saying a positive aspect, but we'd get a bucket, we'd be down 2, and Chucky Hepburn looks like his life's on the line in a good way. Like he wanted that to be the case. Like he was ready for that moment. Nobody's ready for those moments.
No.
And then on top of that, our team doesn't naturally even give you the chance to be in those moments. So something's got to change. Something's got to change. I think you start hacking, Mike. I really do. Start hacking. Be the team that racks up the technical fouls. Be the team that racks up the flagrant fouls. We're going to push you. That number 5 for Indiana. We hated that. He gets away with it partially because he's small. I want all 5 players being like that on the floor now.
I don't know if comparing ourselves to Indiana is the I mean, we're better than Indiana. Indiana might not make the tournament. They've lost 4 of their last 5. I don't want to be IU.
I don't either, but I don't want to lose by 30.
I don't want to be Connor Enright either.
A team you were up at half a month ago. Down 30?
Did you notice, by the way, when Conwell hits that 3 to put us up 25-24, did you see both he and Kelsey started talking to the crowd?
I didn't see Kelsey start doing it.
Kelsey turned and said something to the crowd afterwards. Like, if you guys are going to do that, you can't get beat by 32 from that point on. It feels like this team, to use a old Charlie Strong phrase, it feels like this team has some fake juice. Like, even when they're out there kind of talking, it feels like it's a little bit manufactured. Like, I don't really think that you guys are living and dying with every dribble.
It's like the Luka quote about the Suns. Everybody loves talking when they're up. We kind of seem like one of those teams.
We kind of do. And then teams that want to smack, be like, haha, and smack us, we're like, hey, come on. We were just joking. Like, we're that guy right now. I hate that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I want to punch back. You hit me in the face, we're brawling. You may win. You're going to have to kill me, though. We don't have that mentality at all on this team. and we're running out of time to find it. Now, I'll tell you what, we'll save that point for after the break. Let's take a break. When we come back, more text from you. I'm going to make a point right at the top. We'll also talk a little bit of football in the next hour. We have a schedule out for next season. That's exciting. We'll discuss that. And hopefully we can lift the mood just a little bit. It's the Mike Rutherford Show. It's presented by United Mechanical. It's also presented by Nexus Plus, Louisville's newest construction management company. It's live here on 1450 and 96.1 The Big X.
The best place to meet friends, family, eat awesome.
Harsh. That's how we're feeling, though. Hour number 3 of the Tuesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. We spent the first 2 hours today talking Louisville Duke, the disappointment of a 31-point loss to the Blue Devils. I'm proud of our fan base. I haven't heard, and granted, I've been shoveling snow and fixing furnaces and doing stuff the entire day. I haven't seen one person make a comparison that came into my head last night, and I thought I was going to see everywhere today. I guess this is how upset everybody is over this loss from last night. Roman, there's no way you have any idea what I'm building towards.
I don't
here.
think so.
You were a little young, but I know you remember this season. But in 2012, Louisville lost a game to Providence by 31 points in the middle of January. I want to say it was like January 12th, somewhere around there.
Favorites in that game?
Oh, yeah. Providence sucked.
Yeah.
Providence was terrible.
I remember that game.
We lost we lost 90-59 on the road to Providence. Dropped us to 13-4 overall and 1-3 in the Big East. And we'd just been beaten by Kentucky a couple weeks earlier. Notre Dame had beaten us in double overtime. And there was very much a woe is me. This team was supposed to be good. We actually stink. And everybody freaked out. And then that team, of course, ended up going to a Final Four. I thought I would see more of this yesterday and today. I haven't seen one person bring it up. And I'm glad because it's not a comparable situation at all. That team had not been destroyed by good teams before. They'd notched a couple of big victories already that season. So it also, Duke's a lot better than Providence. But if you wanted to grasp onto that and say, look, there's precedence here. Louisville lost by 31 points to a team that finished that season 126th on KenPom and still went to a Final Four. You can do it. It's possible. I would say, okay. They're going to have to show it against somebody, though. That 2012 team, as stagnant as they were on offense from time to time, they still had beaten good teams. They beat Vandy, who was very good. They beat Memphis, who was very good that year. Villanova, Seton Hall, UConn, West Virginia. They had good wins before they got really hot in March. And it still took a miracle March for them to have that type of run. But it's always possible, Rowan. It's always possible.
You also had Gorgie Dean, who averaged like 3 blocks.
That helped. We were
as much as I feel that same sentiment because that game in particular that season, I remember feeling like, whoa, was I wrong about us being good?
Everybody had that thought.
That was an elite roster.
We also were the number 1 defensive team in college basketball that season.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Number 1. Now, we were 112th on offense, which is crazy that we were able to win a Big East tournament and go to the Final Four with such a bad offensive team. But it just goes to show
offensive skill.
But you always have a chance if you're an elite defensive team. You always have a chance. And that's the same's not the case when you've got a really good offensive team who's just not very good defensively. That team won with defense. This team, they're going to have to win with offense. They're going to have to find a way. The other big story in the world of U of L athletics is the fact that we've got our full football schedule is out. Typically, you don't get it till a little bit later in the calendar year, but the ACC had their conference schedule released yesterday. We now know exactly who Louisville's going to play and when they're going to play them. Let's run it down real quickly. We will open the season. We don't know what day. It's either going to be September 5th or 6th against Ole Miss in Nashville. I would hope that this game is going to be on the 5th just because week 2 we play on the 11th. A 5-day break between games to start the season would be brutal, especially since Villanova is a capable team that could give you a little bit of a run for your money in that Friday opener. But September
better be the 5th.
It better be the 5th. September 5th or 6th, we'll play Ole Miss in Nashville. Week 2, as mentioned, is a Friday night game against Villanova at L&N Stadium. First conference game, week 3, September 19th, Saturday against SMU. It should be a big game right off the bat. September 26th, a week later, another Saturday game. Wake Forest comes to town. And then October 3rd, first true road game of the season will be at NC State. We then get a short week again before we host Florida State, who apparently were never allowed to play on Saturdays again. Friday night game, October 9th against the Seminoles at L&N Stadium. A week later, we're at Syracuse, October 17th. That's a Saturday game. We get a bye at the almost midway point of the season, a little bit over the midway point. October 24th, no game there. Halloween night, we're hosting Stanford. November, we're kicking things off. They're doing flex games this year in the ACC where they've got 2 games. One of them can be played on Friday. One of them can be played on Saturday. We've got one of those. We're going to play at Georgia Tech either on Friday, November 6th or Saturday, November 7th. A week later, we're at North Carolina for a Saturday tilt against Bill Belichick and Bobby Petrino and the Tar Heels. Senior Day will be November 21st. We'll wrap up things at home against Pittsburgh, who we always seem to play like right at the end of the season. And then November 28th, we'll wrap up the regular season at Kentucky. A couple quick thoughts. I don't know why we can never play Florida State on a Saturday since that 2016 game. That seems very silly. We also, the last 3 years under Jeff, we've kind of had this, they're undefeated in September, but we don't know how good they are. That's not going to be the case this year. We get Ole Miss right out of the gate, and then SMU will probably be pegged as one of the better teams in the ACC. If you're 4-0 going into October, you're going to be more battle-tested than you've been the last couple of years. So, it's probably going to be like a top 15, top 10 ranked team.
I really don't want to fall to 0-3 against SMU.
That would suck. Would not love doing that. I love that we're back.
They've joined the ACC.
Well, yeah, that would not be good. I thought you said Ole Miss.
No, I mean SMU.
Oh, SMU. Yeah, we need to beat those guys. Love being back to only having one bye, and love that it's sort of a normal bye. The early bye the last 2 years it sucked. And then you get the second one like super late. It was always a weird time. I like that we've got a bye, and it's almost at the halfway point. I don't love that we only have 2 home games between October 10th and the end of the season. That seems silly. And then my last point is one that we've made pretty consistently on the radio show over the last few years, which is everybody's going to look at this and say it's a dream draw in the ACC. And I think the appropriate response to that is like, maybe.
At the moment.
Maybe. We thought we were going to have a dream draw 2 years ago in the ACC, and we ended up having statistically the toughest possible conference schedule we could have had. Last year, we were kind of like, ooh, this could be a little bit tough. The tough games that we were supposed to have, most of them didn't end up being the tough games that they actually wound up being. Like, you never know who's going to be good in the ACC. It's great that we're avoiding Miami, I think. It's good that we're avoiding Clemson, I think. Maybe Florida State gets back to being elite this year. Maybe Georgia Tech comes from nowhere to be an 11-1 type team. You never know. And saying that you know what ranking schedules going into a season is always a fool's errand. Having said that, it does look on paper like we've got a pretty attractive slate here. You have a chance to have a splashy win against a team that just played in the national semifinals in week 1. If you're able to get that one, you can kind of feed off that victory for the rest of the season. And even if you don't get that victory, you look at that ACC slate and you say, all we got to do is win the conference, and we're going to the playoff. I like the way it's laid out. It doesn't feel overly unfair. I like the schedule, Roman.
I like it. I like it as it stands at the moment. I do. My biggest thing is you don't have a game that's just some walkover opponent to start your season. You don't have 2 more following that.
No.
You get to actually see what your quarterback is immediately. You get to address true issues before week 4 or game 4 of your season, and I'm ready to have that be the case. I think that could be the difference in going and not losing a game against Virginia how we did in the beginning of the season this year.
If you were doing every year, and I'm sure somebody will send this in as they get closer to the season, there are people who are like, I take 1 road trip a year. If you're looking at the road games for this season, at NC State, October 3rd, should be good weather for that one. At Syracuse, mid-October, doesn't matter because you're in the dome. At Georgia Tech, early November. At North Carolina, November 14th. And then at Kentucky. Which road trip are you taking this season? I'm excluding the Nashville trip for Ole Miss because it's hop, skip, and a jump away.
I think they're going to be not terrible, so that should be a fun game.
I feel like that either the at NC State trip, October 3rd, because NC State's usually pretty good in the first month of the season before they flame out. They'll have some hope there. That the weather should be good. Tailgating's pretty good there. I would say that one, or Georgia Tech could wind up being a big game, although they don't have great tailgating. North Carolina is beautiful. It may be a little cold, November 14th, but it's still going to be warmer than it is here. Plus, how many opportunities are you going to get to see like a Louisville team beat up potentially on a Bill Belichick and Bobby Petrino coached college team? That would be worth it.
I'd be there for it.
I would say Carolina or NC State would be my picks. But maybe you give yourself wiggle room to pivot if Georgia Tech winds up being really good, because that seems like the best team that we play on the road. Gameday Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. I know we were not going to spend a ton of time on football today because everybody wants to get their thoughts out on how bad the state of the basketball program is. I just noticed that we have like 85 comments on YouTube today too. I'm sure they're very positive. Do you want to read one of the YouTube comments?
I didn't have it pulled up. We're back to the OBS stream, but I can get it pulled up.
I love the look of the YouTube. Okay, here's one right here. Seems like the coach's bet, this is for our guy Ethan Sprouse, seems like the coach's bet was that the guards would be great enough to make up for the front court deficiencies. That is not happening, and Frew plateauing is not helping. I think that's it. I think that they looked at the roster and saw the same holes that all of us did, and their mentality was our strengths are going to be enough to outweigh that. And they just simply haven't been. We haven't been close.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Blue Collar said definitely need a Baba Miller instead of bringing back Pryor. Pryor not playing tells me everything. I don't even take away what we saw from Pryor last year and what you thought he could be this year for that price. The injury itself made it too risky, right? For a player that you actually plan to utilize, you thought best case scenario he can be a 15, 18-minute kind of a guy for us because we think that the front court we brought in is better, but he's just in a perfect addition. I don't think the injury was worth taking that risk, for one. Granted, with the way that they were talking about adding another potential freshman, we knew Michael was coming in. We were interested in Nate Ament. Baba Miller was probably a similar price, if not less.
He was a lot. I think he was a lot more.
Than a Nate Ament?
Oh, you're talking about Baba? I thought you were talking about Baba versus Kaysen.
No, I'm saying Baba versus what we were willing to spend. Baba was already committed at that point, but they were willing to go and spend that money on that type of a size. And
I agree.
They didn't do it.
The Kaysen Pryor situation, when I'd heard that we were kind of walking away, don't get me wrong. I was like, I wish it had worked out here, but I think that there are a lot more questions about Kaysen than there are answers, and I think he would have been a good player for us last year, but I don't think he would have been a great player for us last year. And I think I've shared the timeline from what I know is Kaysen kept telling everybody, I'm coming back. He was saying that under the impression that he was going to get the same deal that he got the year before from Louisville, which he was the highest paid player on last year's team. And when Louisville was kind of like, we can't afford to pay you that, and we don't think you're worth that, in so many words, Kaysen was like, all right, well, I'm walking. And then he went out there in the open market and realized that nobody was willing to pay him anywhere in the ballpark of the 7 figures that he made the season before. And so he came to Louisville, and they agreed to pay him a quarter of what he made the year before. But it was more about, I think Pat Kelsey really likes Kaysen. He wanted to keep as much of the culture from last season as possible. And he thought that there was a role that Kaysen could certainly play on this year's team that was similar to the one that they had carved out for him a year ago. And I can't tell you exactly what's happened since then. I think maybe the recovery from the ACL tear took a few more turns than they were expecting, and he hasn't been the guy. He's never gotten back to. There's clearly just a total lack of trust there, and I can't exactly explain what's at the core of it. But hindsight's always 20/20. If you could go back and do it again, I think you would say, take that $250 or whatever you were willing to pay to bring Kaysen back and go out there and get a different power forward.
And the money you gave Mo Kamara, a couple of guys that I think you could have gotten one talent for a few different skill sets that brought it in, and you would have given yourself more depth as well.
I think one of the big allures of bringing over the players from overseas is
multiple years of eligibility,
and you get them super cheap. Yeah. I think everybody sees Sinana Fru played in the BBL, the top-ranked German league, and they're like, ooh, he was making professional money.
Those guys top-ranked Spanish league.
Those guys aren't making – the younger players that are playing in those leagues, they're not making very much money. Like we were able to give him and Zugris and Kamara very reasonable amount of money, like not a lot of money compared to what the American-born players are getting here. And it was still a great deal for them to come from over. And so that's part of the reason why I think we were, not just us, but so many programs are willing to dip their toes into the European waters. And it seems to have not worked out great for us. I know we still got a month and a half left of the season.
If they're not French, Spanish, or Serbian, leave them alone.
Is that your new standard?
That's what I'm saying.
Or, look, we had success with African big men. Gorgie was great. Mango was okay.
But I'm worried about NBA Africa. I think the NBA Africa's kind of messed up the Africa.
100%. You're not wrong.
Look at tomorrow should have went to play freshman basketball at the freshman age.
Which, by the way, was where Kenny Payne went on the very first day of the July evaluation period 3 years ago. The most important day for recruiting. He's at NBA Africa recruiting Churchill Abbas and Emmanuel Okorafor. That was an error in judgment. NBA Africa is not. I think you're exactly right. It is not.
Granted, more kids are getting access to basketball and money, which I think is great. I think it's kind of messed up some of the evaluation.
100% has. You're not wrong at all. Texture says, Gameday Mens Health text line, 502-414-1450. Part 714 of losing to a ranked team by more than 20 points. If I hear one more Skip Prosser reference, I'm going to blow a fuse. Another Skip Prosser stray. Texas, please go watch Sananda's BBL tape from last year and tell me it's the same player. I think he's taking estrogen pills. I can't read that. Come on, man. The dude can't jump over a phone book and gets winded after 2 minutes. Is he just sitting inside eating pints of ice cream all day? I don't think Sananda looks overweight.
He looks taller for some.
I think it's the haircut.
But he was dunking more. He was playing more above the rim in those clips. But you got to remember, those are highlight clips. We weren't watching full games start to finish. We're watching his best hand-picked moments.
If you watched like a highlight tape of him from this season, you'd be like, he's dunking all over everybody. He's had
some crazy catches on some lobs already.
Yeah. He just gets pushed around. I was super disappointed with
just
the way
as much as James Scott got pushed around. So
I would argue maybe more.
Yeah.
I think he's more skilled. He's bigger than James. Yeah.
Mr. Hobbs on the YouTube chat says, this team can't beat any team. This team can beat any team on any given night if they are hitting their threes, except that hasn't happened against any elite teams.
See, I don't even know if it can. We keep saying that, right?
There's a reason it hasn't happened against any elite teams.
I mean, that's been the thing. Like,
they know how to defend it. They know how to prevent it.
This team can beat anybody on any given. Can we?
When we're taking good threes, when we're getting into the flow of our offense.
We haven't come close to beating anybody good. We haven't come close to showing that type. Like, we have enough of a sample size against quality opponents this season and certainly last season.
Have we even gone on a 10-point run against a good team?
No. I mean, again, like unless you're qualifying Kentucky as a good team, we haven't had that, to use the old Clark Kellogg phrase, spurtability. That was supposed to be this team's deal, was they're never out of a game because, boom, snap of a finger, they can go on a 15-0 run. When have we done that against anybody good?
I think it was like a 6-0 run against Arkansas, maybe one of those against Tennessee as well, but they nip them in the butt quickly. Good teams do that.
Yeah, it's one thing to have like a 6-0, 9-0 run when you're down by 20.
Yeah.
And then the team can just be like, okay, well, we just score a couple
down
times.
17, and now you're down 11.
Now you're down 13. Yeah, I mean, it's just we've not showcased that ability at all this season. It is cool that we scored 100 points against Pitt the other night, though. Like, that was fun. But let me ask you this. So I mentioned we've got 6 quad 1 games as it stands right now out of our last 11 regular season games. So you can still build a really rock-solid resume without having that sparkling signature win over like a top 10, top 5 type team.
You win 4 of those 6 quad 1 games.
For sure.
You're pretty much in a good spot.
You can put yourself in a good spot resume-wise. What do you like if we were to go out there, let's say we sweep SMU, we lose to like NC State beats us at home, but we beat North Carolina on the road, and our only other loss is to at Miami, who's got a lot of talent, whatever, or at Clemson, who we never beat. We have 2 losses, but we beat Carolina, we sweep SMU, we take care of the 4th, 5th best teams in the ACC. Do you think that some of this talk goes away, or is it going to be at primetime, Pat? Patterfield, like, does that talk persist until we go out there and we beat a team the caliber of Duke?
I think it's both. I think the talk exists, but we're enthusiastic about the ACC tournament and what we can maybe do.
Yeah, I mean, at North Carolina, it's not nothing.
No, it's a good win.
If they're not a top, I think, 15 type team, top 10 type team.
But it's a roster that's built like the teams that have beat us.
And it's North Carolina. Like we haven't gone into we haven't beaten that a good team on the road like that since Kelsey got here. We were good on the road last season in conference play, but we didn't really play anybody.
Yeah, because we beat
that
Clemson
good
at home. So
exactly. I think the fan base would be like, I think then you would have people's attention where they'd be like, all right, like let's see if we run up against Duke or Virginia in the semifinals of the championship, let's take a shot. Let's see if we've improved or if this is all fool's gold. But I hope like that's become the resetting of expectations now. That's the new goal. That's the best you can hope for at this point, because that's the position that this team has put itself in. Texter says, Mike, I'll say it again. It comes down to player evaluation, especially for the bigs and roster construction. This has to be the worst that I've seen for a U of L coach. This team is so imbalanced and one-dimensional and has wasted scholarships on the bench again. You can't call it the worst assembled roster when we just had Fabio Basile starting games 4 years ago. I mean, if you take Kenny Payne out of the equation, which I think we all should, then yeah, you can have complaints here. I mean, but you can at least see the idea. He went out there and he had Michael Brown, an electric freshman point guard. He went out there and got the two best shooters in the portal immediately to put around him. You knew what he was doing. It just seems like we missed on a couple guys.
And they haven't developed Kanai at the rate that they should have, or we would have wanted.
And that's a big concern moving forward, right?
Adrian Woolley's production really on both ends of the floor as a player for this team is what we thought Kanai was going to be. And that's a guard from Kennesaw State last year. That's not good.
We haven't
our third shot creator and best defender being a guard is not what we wanted.
We also we haven't seen guys take the steps forward that I think we were hoping them to.
You don't expect Javon Hadley to become some guy that's going to start giving you 20 a night. He's, I still think, improved in some little ways in this system, and that's it. Granted, there's not a lot of carryover from guys that you plan to use a lot, but tonight it's just not been enough.
If you want to criticize and have concerns about this staff's ability to develop players, I think it's justified. Kanai doesn't look that much better than he did a year ago.
Adrian Woolley body looks great compared to what it did.
Yeah, but he's not playing at a high level. Like he does good things defensively, but the little skills that should have been developed during the offseason have not. He's not shooting it substantially better. He's not handling it substantially better. Woolley's shown flashes, but he hasn't emerged the way that I thought he was going to at this point.
With his right hand or on the right side of the rim much.
Frew looks like the same player, more or less, as he was at the beginning of the season. Like, who do you point to? Like, we haven't had a guy have that sort of like dramatic evolution that we all were hoping for.
Hope he got worse. I'm just kidding.
Texas, Texas, we literally hired a basketball Scott Satterfield, LOL. There's nothing funny about that if you believe that. Don't put LOL at the end of the statement. Texas, so far, Josh Hurd has settled for hiring two basketball coaches that no one else wanted and just hoping that they magically learn on the job how to compete at this level. Is Hurd incapable of attracting anyone with actual Power 5 coaching experience? We are nowhere close to the top teams in the country, and this keeps happening year after year, coach after coach. We are on the verge of wasting at least another 4 years because of bad hires. Add that to the 4 years of Mac, and we're almost at a decade of not winning an NCAA tournament game. I said last year that extending Hurd was premature, and this is why. He's about to go 0 for 2 in basketball hires, and I certainly don't want him hiring the next one. I mean, look,
Kenny Payne, the higher-ups there kind of forced Hurd, from everything I heard at that time frame, is that he didn't have much of an option. His hand got forced a bit.
And that's why this hire is Josh's kind of like, this is his defining hire. And if it doesn't work out, it does reflect poorly on Josh. There's no way around it. Like, he needs Pat Kelsey to work out. I think you also, if Kelsey doesn't work out and we start talking about going back into the coaching search cycle next year or 2 years from now or whatever, then the talk of us becoming Indiana becomes very scary. Because Indiana keeps thinking they get their guy, they have like a positive year at the beginning, and then they toil in mediocrity for a couple of years, and they've been starting the cycle all over again. And at some point, you've got to let a guy prove that he can do it or not. And they haven't done that. And it's a program with a lot of similarities to ours. We need Pat Kelsey to work out. Once that cycle starts, it's really tough to get out of it, even when you have a program that has the type of inherent advantages that we do or that Indiana does. Nobody at Indiana, if you'd polled anybody 24 years ago and said, hey, what are the odds of you guys over the next 25 years not playing in a single Elite Eight game? Nobody would have bought it. Everyone would have said, well, the program, like, the Earth must have been hit by an asteroid or something like that. Imagine saying that to us right now. I mean, imagine saying to us back in 2017, you're not going to have won an NCAA tournament game 9 years from now after this one against Jacksonville State. Nobody would have bought it. It's madness, and that's where we are. Texture says, PK's on the clock. Stop the mid-major crap of going to the student section, selfies, etc. Win some big games. Like I said, everyone loves that sort of thing when you're winning. Doesn't matter if you're curing cancer when you're losing. People are like, stop curing cancer and start playing some zone defense. That's where we are now. By the way, we've gotten to 233 on the text line before we even started the show. It's not good. Texture says, we hired a guy with 0 NCAA tournament wins. You know who else had 0 NCAA tournament wins this time a year ago, Roman?
Yep.
Todd Gold. We're going to win the national title. Just saying. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will try to read 712 texts in 25 minutes. Can we get it done? The only way to find out is to listen to the final segment of the show. It's coming up next here on the Big X. Final segment of the day here. 1450-96.1 Big X Sports Radio. I was about to say at least we got Mondays with Dalton Pence coming up next, but we don't. We've got, it's Tuesday. The building was closed yesterday, so we had no radio show. We'll have, I believe, just standard ticket punchers, Roman.
Yep, that's what it'll be.
Guest
Ticket punchers, 5:30 to 6.
5:30 to 6, right here, 1450-96.1 Big X Sports Radio. We have, I mentioned, we've been trying to read text. I thought we'd done a good job, and then I looked at the timestamps. We've not read any text past 2:33, which is typically when we start the show. So we've got a lot of text to get to on the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Before we get to them, reminding you, Gameday Men's Health is redefining men's wellness with no shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy, and more. Visit GameDayMensHealth.com today to get your 2026 off to the healthiest start possible. Let's take some text. I'm going to take this one because this is the first semi-positive text that we've had. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Texture says, Many takes will fly this week, but I believe this is fixable for Pat Kelsey because his problems are all roster construction and not his system, in my opinion. We obviously should have paid Nate Ament whatever he was asking for.
Yep.
We probably overpaid for McNeely. We should have let Pryor walk, and we missed big time by filling the front court with too many situational gadget players. We have no reliable paint presence for offense, defense, or rebounding, and only 2, maybe 3 super talented athletes that are more than spot-up shooters on this roster. That's why we get blown out by talented athletic rosters, and we blow out everybody else.
Text of the day, Mike.
Do you think we'd be that much better with him, man? I know he's played so well the last couple weeks, but Tennessee fans were hating on him for a while, and he's still more of like a finesse
You put Nate
guy.
Ament at our 4 with Javon Hadley at our 3 and Ryan Codwell and Michael Brown Jr. out there.
You think we'd be that much better?
I like that lineup a lot more.
He doesn't help you defensively, though.
More than McNeely does.
He's not. Well, I mean, I help you more. That's mean. I should. I went too far right there. I mean, he's not. But like, he's more. You get what I'm saying? He's more of like a pretty finesse player.
Yeah,
but he can score.
He's not going to
to
bang down low, but he can rebound the ball well for a freshman, and he can score.
He rebounds it okay. I mean, he's averaging like 6 rebounds a game at 6'10".
It's small forward.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would take him. I just don't know if he fixes all the problems that he doesn't fix the toughness problem. If we're saying that we're not good because we're not tough enough, that he's not changing that. He's insanely skilled, but he's not going to get like he's not banging with Cameron Boozer last night. Texture says,
you know who is tough?
Who?
Oh, I forget how to pronounce his name. Braden Burries
for Arizona.
The Arizona guard, Burries is his last name, I believe.
Burries, yeah. He's coming around big time.
I mean, he can defend, he can pass, he can dribble, he can shoot, he can score at all 3 levels.
I thought you were going to say Jaden Bradley because Bradley's kind of like, he's the consummate, like, just college superstar. He's nails. But Burries, I mean, they were already probably the best team in college basketball, or at least had the best resume before he started playing well.
Now, if he can be the best player on any given night.
Scoring like 24 a game now. Yeah, they've already got Coapete, and Krivas is awesome. Bradley's an All-American. They're very good, and they play like they do the things that you want your favorite team to do, right? Like they are physical
from start to finish.
They are bullies. They are locked in. They are. I mean, you saw they had the post-game interview on SportsCenter last night. I think they interviewed Jaden Bradley, or no, it was Burries, and like the whole team is behind him because they don't like, like we're not individuals, we're a team. Like all of that little stuff that seems so insignificant, they do it all. And they're 21-0 and number 1 in the country. Be nice if we did some of those things. Lazard guy said, I can handle a loss. Rick Pitino lost head-scratching games pretty much every season. Knowing before the game even starts that it's about to be belt to ass, though, I'm good on that. The KP era was an abomination, but this is also some form of basketball hell. We beat nobody teams, and we get pantsed by legit coaches and teams, and not just occasionally, literally every occasion. That's a no for me, dog. Can you imagine how bad this would be if you tossed in a loss to Kentucky on top of all this?
Yeah, I think you'd be having even more calling for the job.
Oh my! Everybody would be. It'd be terrible. Texas, we paid Case and Pryor to come back and play dress up during warmups. Pretty much. Texas, Pat Kelsey either adjusts how he builds a roster and figures out that no defense and a bunch of threes don't work, or he's on the clock next season. Also, Mick Cronin sucks.
I love that he adds that on every
Mick Cronin sucks guy. Texas, if Pat Kelsey don't make it as a basketball coach, I bet he would have ended up being the lead sales guy for a life insurance pyramid scheme. Jesus. That sums up my current feelings on our coaching staff. I think that's a little over the top. Texas says PK sucks. He pads his win stats versus bad to mediocre teams. He's the embodiment of fake juice. Chris the Plumber said, same old bleep, just different day. This ain't it, Pat. This never beating great teams and getting blown out on top of that won't work here. Duke punks you. Tennessee punks you. We're soft. Another round 1 tournament loss is on deck. If we make it that far, sorry, not sorry. I don't think you need to say sorry, not sorry.
Aggressive there, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I would be sorry for being sorry if we don't make the tournament. Texas, it is disappointing to keep losing, really getting blown out in these big games, but the claims that this guy won't ever get it done are too much. Rick won 1 tourney game his first 3 years, and yes, I know the times are different, but give this man a chance at least. I mean, I think any sort of grand proclamations shouldn't be made until we see what happens in this year's NCAA tournament. I mean, you can make predictions. This is a moment in time. This is a snapshot. I'm not thrilled with where we are. In fact, I'm pretty pissed off about where we are. I think we should be a lot further along. That doesn't guarantee that we're not going to have some sort of light bulb moment at some point between now and the second week of March. And until that doesn't happen, I think you can still keep some faith out for that happening. Just got to watch it develop. But all we can do is talk about where we are right now, and where we are right now is not nearly as close to the top of the sport as we were hoping to be. Texas, this is Pat Kelsey's lover here. I'm so happy seeing all these teams come back and win from being down 15-plus points. Surely Louisville's good enough to do that as well. Oh, wait, they're only good at losing by 20-plus points. I think this is where a lot of the hopelessness stems from. We were, with Patino, even with Chris Mack to a lesser extent, when you were down by 10 at some point, down by 15, but you always felt like you had a chance to come back. And that was supposed to be the MO of this year's team. And now, in a year and a half with Pat Kelsey, we're 0-9 in games where we trail by 5 or more at halftime. We haven't made one big comeback win. That's as surprising as anything when it comes to the negative things about this first year and a half under Kelsey, is that we haven't had that type of you would think with this system and these players, you'd have a Preston Knowles Miracle on Maine type game at some point. And no, when we get down by 15, 20 points, we lose by 15, 20 points. I keep using the word. It's super disappointing. Lions fan John said, I don't want to be that guy, but Kelsey never wins the big game. With the exception of UK this year, he always gets out-coached against these top teams. It's concerning. What are his top 3 wins? I'm not calling for his job, but my God, it's tough to watch. I mean, I feel like the 2 Clemson wins last year and the UK win this year, right?
Yep.
I mean, we've beaten one team that has ended the season in the top 25 or is currently in the top 25. We beat UK this year. They're not ranked anymore. We beat Indiana when they were ranked. They're not ranked anymore. The only team that we beat that finished the season ranked or is currently ranked is Clemson last year. And they got pantsed in the first round of the tournament as a 5 seed. Lions fan John also says, Roman, I'm going to need you to hear you pronounce Corgi's last name again.
Zhang.
You got it. Texas, I saw a talent gap last night that was staggering. I feel like Brown, Conwell, and Roots are the only 3 that would even see the floor if they played for Duke. I mean, I don't think he's wrong. I mean, Javon would play for Duke, but I don't think he'd start. McNeely, I think, would get Kamenia minutes if he was there. I mean, there's definitely a talent disparity between Louisville and Duke. There's not a 31-point talent gap between Louisville and Duke. Do you think it's safe to say both those statements?
I'm 100%. What was the kid who came off the bench and he hit a couple of threes?
Kamenia.
I mean, he's better than Isaac McNeely.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like McNeely probably plays that role. He scored a career high last night. It was 14 points. Texture says, Mike, I demand that Roman be fired if he doesn't clip the "they just tased Ryan, this game is over" segment from the best video ever. Life was simpler when we were talking about Ryan getting tased.
They just tased Ryan. This ball game is over.
There it is. You ask, the man delivers. This is what he does. He's not getting fired today, little dumper. It's not happening. Texas, last text from me today, but a serious one. I think Pat Kelsey's teams rely too much on runs, and if it doesn't work out as well when you have the elite coach on the other sideline who plans for that.
And can adjust on the fly.
We also don't get runs, so. Texture says, our shooting offense cannot thrive when the opponent's defense is allowed to neglect at least 2 guys on our offense at any time, allowing for doubles and constant disruption of action. There are 4 bagels in our offensive rotation at any time that scare nobody: Kobe Rogers, Zoo, Pryor, and still somewhat Ollie. Those dudes serve no threat to a defense and yet are getting heavy rotation minutes.
That's all they've got.
Yeah, I mean, nobody guards Kobe when he's out there. I mean, Kaysen isn't playing. I mean, Kaysen's not, you said Pryor, you said he's getting heavy rotation minutes. He's not playing at all, let alone playing a lot. So I think you can take that one out of the, but Zugras is, yeah. Nobody has to guard Sue. Texture says, stat, 20 colleges with the highest STD rates. Duke is number 16. There's no way that Penn has the 7th most STDs.
Duke's got to be higher up.
Arizona State, number 1.
Not going to argue that.
I would
put Arizona up there, too.
I would rather have Virginia go to school in, like, Iran than Arizona State. There's no chance I would let my daughter ever go to school at Arizona State. No, absolutely not. She can go to Antarctica University before she can go to Arizona State. Just being a good dad right there. Texture says, PSA I-71 is a parking lot from the soccer stadium to Zorn. Haven't moved in 30 minutes. There was a huge backup on Watterson eastbound when I was coming in here today. There was like a bunch of snow plows and police. They're like getting all the snow off the highway. I don't know if that's still going on, but yeah. Texture says, lazy effort all around. The sky isn't falling for me just yet, and I certainly won't call for PK's job, but I do think we need to just settle on the fact that this team cannot do big games, and I mean size. If PK won't fix his philosophy, then we are what we are, and all we can do is hope for a hot March and favorable matchups. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where we are at this point. Texas, would Josh Schertz do better with this team? I was wondering if anybody's going to bring this up. We talked so much about Dusty May. Josh Schertz, who was everybody likes to say that Kelsey was the third choice. I didn't steer you wrong during the coaching search. I gave you stuff nobody else was giving you. I'm here to tell you Josh Schertz was the third choice. And then if he hadn't signed a memorandum of understanding with St. Louis, he'd be your head coach right now. And he's got SLU at 19-1.
We could have paid that though, right? Pay them out of that memorandum.
We could have helped. It would have been like $3 million extra, which, hindsight maybe. But St. Louis's only loss was to Stanford on a fluky, like they were up by 3 late. They did the foul up 3. Stanford missed the first free throw, got a loose rebound on the second free throw, and hit a shot at the buzzer to win 78-77. That's their only loss. The dude can coach.
That moment never happens in basketball, but I feel like I've watched it like twice in the last 3 years.
Sometimes. Would he do better with this team? Impossible to say, but I do feel confident in saying that he's a very good coach. Texas, go ahead.
Mid Gaming here on the YouTube chat says, you can say a Sweet 16 would make us all feel better, and I agree. Though our coach has 0 tournament wins in his career and has not shown he can beat a team better than what he has. Also, bleep BBN. Pat Kelsey can't handle these AAU demons and their dads. I wish nothing but the best for Michael, but can't wait to move past him next year. How about those 2 seconds where we were leading? That was pretty cool. Fru and Allie are softer than my grandmother. We need bigs like Brazil and from Arkansas. Quit recruiting these soft bleep Europeans who are afraid of contact. Mike couldn't wait to talk basketball during the disaster end of football season, and now he wants to talk football during the disaster. Both programs are mid right now.
Yeah, and look, if football ends up having some bad news, then I'll be very excited to talk baseball. I want to talk about good teams that make me happy. I don't think that makes me abnormal. Texas, no one is talking about how bad that German league must be, and I'm frustrated by it. By the way, I've seen all your texts from the last few weeks about Kyrie Brown Jr.'s done. You guys know it. You weren't right. Just saying. Texas, fellas, I got bad news about PK's future. My background is in human behavior, and personality traits are important. There are 2 coaching personalities that win championships. The stoic, like Denny Crum, Jay Wright, Tony Bennett, Coach K, etc., and the psychopath, Danny Hurley, Bob Knight, Rick Pitino, Tom Izzo, etc. Some are a combination of the 2, John Calipari, Bill Self, etc. The coach that has never won a natty is the cheerleader personality, the hype man, the Josh Pastners, Tom Creans, and you guessed it, Pat Kelsey's. Some coaches throw national championship parades. Others throw shoes during practice.
I don't like that. But I can't disagree, unfortunately.
Kevin Ollie won a national title with very much a, I'm just here to have fun mentality. If he can do it, anybody can do it. I stand by that. I mean, there aren't that many rah-rah cheerleader coaches out there. I feel like you can put almost every coach into. I mean, Dusty May is kind of that guy. I guess he would be the stoic.
Yeah, more than a psychopath.
He's definitely not a psychopath. I love a good psychopath. I think Kelsey's a psycho in a different type of way. Is he a psycho enough to win the job here? We'll find out.
Or maybe he's a little bit of all 3, and that's the issue.
Texas, Kelsey needs to bring back the glasses. That's the issue.
Maybe.
We've been spending too much time together, saying stuff at the same time. Texas, it's safe to say that we're a good basketball team, and that's just who we are. I feel like next year might be make or break for PK. I mean, if we go to use the hypothetical from the texter a second ago, if we went to a Sweet 16 this year, yeah, I think the fan base would be like, okay, cool. Like they would still feel like it wasn't the type of season we were hoping for, but it's a good second year for Pat Kelsey. But they would expect more in year 3. And I think that's where, like I said earlier, I think that's where a significant amount of our collective concern lies is, like, what do we have to point to right now and say, this is why next season's going to be special or has the potential to be special? Now, I mean, it's just a lot of transfer portal mystery because that's all we have. Even if we bring back the best players with eligibility from this year's team, that alone isn't going to spark a ton of confidence. It's going to have to be you go out there and, like, you got to get the best or second best portal class in America if you're going to have a roster that's capable of being preseason top 15, top 10 next year. Texas says, next year gives zero hope with recruiting being what it's been. There you go, right there. Texas, Isaac McNeely sucks. Anytime he picks up a basketball at practice, hand him a water bottle and tell him which starter is thirsty. Texas, like it or not, UK and Louisville are identical as a whole on the level of uncertainty for the current state and future of the basketball problems. I don't think that that's unfair. I think that both fan bases were excited about what their coaches did in the first year, both on and off the court. I think both had heightened expectations in year 2, and I think both have been let down. Now, UK's playing with some juice now. They've won, 5 in a row? So maybe Mark Pope is in the process of winning back that fan base, but they still have been an overall disappointment this season. The satisfaction level is going to be largely determined by what these two teams do in March, and I think that they're both gigantic mysteries at this point. Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville, said this weekend's whiplash. VT, watching the big game at Cluckers as Roman demands. This team is impressive, peaking at the right time. Let's do some damage. And then Duke, what the hell, man? VT, did we play a 1-3-1? Let's freaking go. Snow days, happy to be alive. Duke, what the hell, man? That was a rewatch Wolf of Wall Street loss. I don't know what that means. But Texture says, first-time texter, am I overreacting or is the lack of development going to be a problem getting players next season? Looks like some of these players have regressed. Rogers, Adrian, and no development with Frew. We kind of touched on that. It's a concern. I'm trying to skip over texts that are repeating some stuff. Case and Pryor, yes. First-time texter again. Just a disappointing game. Showed no effort in the second half. Embarrassing to get 30-pieced on Big Monday. I also don't think he is on the hot seat from an AD perspective. Just has to get through some growing pains. The ACC is better this year. I mean, look, there is a... We can acknowledge the elephant in the room. There's the potential for this to get ugly. We're 14-6. We're 4-4 in the ACC. We've got no bad losses right now, but we've got a competitive schedule to end the toughest stretch of the ACC is still in front of us. I know we don't play Duke or Virginia, but besides Tech and Notre Dame, every game is losable. I feel like from this point forward. And there's a world where we go like 6-5 or 5-6 down the stretch, and we're very much in danger of missing the NCAA tournament. Like, if this team's going to be safely in the field, they're going to have to earn it. Like, there are no like, ooh, we're 15-point favorites. We should go out there and win. Like SMU on Saturday is going to be a challenge.
7'2" kid from Istanbul.
Yeah, I mean,
his name Yigit-Toglu.
Oh, Turgaloo.
Yigit-Toglu, the 7'2" kid for SMU. I mean, he's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, he's 7'2". He can play. They've still got Boobie Miller. They've got Jerome Pierre. They've got dudes that can score. They will be a challenge for us, and we got to play them twice. At Wake will be a challenge. Home against NC State will be a challenge. Baylor in basically a road game. They're not very good this year. That'll be a challenge. At Carolina, at Clemson, at Miami, those will be challenges. Like, you think things are bad now, imagine this group missing the NCAA tournament or limping into the NCAA tournament. That's possible. Texture says,
we're not going to finish these.
We're not, yeah. Another first-time texter. The Cards will not be able to compete with the big boys until they have a legitimate post presence. They are in desperate need of a guy like Montrezl Harrell. I think a guy like Harrell would make a huge difference with this team. I mean, a guy
Harrell doesn't fit in PK's system.
He doesn't, and a guy like Harrell would make a difference on everybody's team. Like, we're talking about All-Americans.
Just the presence he brings as an energetic guy that can play, he'd make a difference, but he'd still be an 8 to 10 point per game kind of a guy at max.
Yeah. A lot of first-time texters here. Michael better than John Wall, though. You guys, who just decided that I said that? Like, I don't know what account where, like, Rutherford said that Michael Brown was better than John Wall. And everybody just ran with it. You don't even need proof anymore. Texture says, Pat Kelsey's PGU system simply doesn't work unless you have a once-in-a-lifetime dog like Chucky Hepburn. At what point does Pat abandon his offensive system and start drawing up plays like every other coach in the country? We have plays. He draws up plenty of plays. Texture, after year 3, we go hire Bucky McMillan and then sign a deal with Buc-ee's, slap a mascot patch on the jersey, build a Buc-ee's gas station on the front entrance, and kiosks all throughout the inside of the Yum Center. I mean, I love Bucky McMillan. We're not talking about that yet. I do love Bucky. Texture says, oh, man, so many texts. Says, no, I refuse to let this stand unaddressed. Mike, I demand that you take back saying that you're happy for that spoiled-ass producer, Matt. Is Matt spoiled? The Pats have been, he means, I thought he meant like just overall as a person. The Pats have been to the Super Bowl 10 times since the last time the team I support won a playoff game. I hope they break his heart in the most agonizing fashion possible and then spiral into 100 years of mediocrity. You're right, I take it back. I don't feel good for Matt. I did see a tweet that was like, everyone has one friend that's a Pats fan, and it's always the worst person in their life. I immediately sent it to Jeff Greer, and he was like, hilarious, but also true. I was like, yeah.
Remember the roommate I got in a fight with?
Yes.
That
Pats fan?
Big Pats fan.
That's awesome. Texas Roman's coaching style is, for lack of a better word, psychotic. I don't know what that was in reference to. Was it 410?
Telling us to go be the flagrant foul.
Oh, yeah, you just want to kill people during game. Like, our new identity is just beating teams up, literally, during game.
It's so funny. Like, my ideal coaching style and what I would want my team that I'm a fan of to do is the complete opposite of the way that I like to play basketball and the way my friends play basketball. Like, we look like Nebraska out there. I want us to look like Arkansas out there.
Texas, nothing cures a god-awful cards lost like the Mike Rutherford show. Keep it rolling, Unc. I don't like being called Unc, but I am Unc. It's my nephew.
Glad we can cure something.
I don't think we can either. I don't think that's a majority opinion.
Texas, what's your nephew?
Texas, I don't feel like Scott Drew falls into either of those categories of coaches. Well, Scott Drew's also starting to suck as a coach, so
he's like the quiet stoic.
He's kind of a weirdo.
Which is maybe a type as well.
Maybe a type. Texas is our new defensive coordinator coaching in the Super Bowl. Guys, just everybody, it's on the paper. Just everybody calm down. Texas says this will be the last one we can take. I knew we were effed early on when Kelsey started Hadley at the 4 last. He started the 4 every game. Only thing Kelsey can hope for is if we somehow end up like NC State almost 2 years ago. The team just sucks and easily rattled in tough road environments against big physical teams.
If NC State that from Stallworth.
NC State had a losing record going into the ACC tournament that year and had to play on the first day. Like you can't compare us to that NC State team. They still fired Kevin Keatts a year later.
And we don't have a DJ Burns.
It was we don't. They had 2 players in that team. It was a miracle run. We'll never see anything like that again. All right, we've got a couple games to pick tonight. First of all,
give me Creighton.
You got Creighton?
Fading Marquette all year long, Mike.
Well, Marquette sucks.
Creighton's only 1.5 point favorites tonight.
How about this? 9 o'clock ESPNU. UMass against undefeated Miami of Ohio in Oxford, Millett Hall. Do the Red Hawks stay unbeaten, Roman?
Yes, in some crazy game where they're back and forth towards the end somehow.
I got a weird feeling about this one, but I think they win and it's close. Game of the night though in college basketball, Nebraska ball on the road taking on Michigan. It's number 5 versus number 3, 7 o'clock on Peacock. You got an undefeated top 5 ranked team that's an 11.5 point dog. Who you got?
Michigan. Michigan brings them back to reality. Shows them it ain't sweet out here.
Michigan wins. Nebraska covers. All right, we got the Ticket Punchers up next. Hopefully we'll be more upbeat tomorrow. Stay warm. We'll talk to you then. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and